Chapter 256. A ticket to the second hunting ground cost 20,000. This was indeed a little expensive. However, one should not forget that Immortal had taken over the first hunting island. Naturally, he had taken over everything that had been on the island. That included Belki's cash and electronic currency. All of Belki's assets, including fixed assets, more than 100 million in electronic currency, and more than 2 million in cash. The electronic currency required facial recognition to be used. However, after more than 10 days of research, Little Monk had cracked the facial recognition program. He had replaced Belki's face with Immortal's. Therefore, Immortal was now a millionaire with 100 million and 2 million in cash. Of course, as the owner of the island, this amount of money was indeed a little embarrassing. However, there was nothing he could do about it. Belki had not managed his business well. He had squandered tens of billions of cash to this amount. However, with 100 million in cash, he was definitely an overlord on the mainland. Moreover, one should not forget that there was a crystal source vein under the first hunting island. It was worth a lot of money. Before going to the second hunting island, Immortal gathered everyone in the base. He said to these people, "I have a way to greatly increase your strength in a short period of time. You will be comparable to a level 10 great hunter." Everyone was overjoyed when they heard this. Among them, the strongest was only a level 2 great hunter. If he wanted to become a level 10 great hunter, it would take him at least 3 to 5 years to do so. As for the others, it was needless to say. Now that Mr. Mo could help them become level 10 great hunters in a short period of time, how could they not be excited? Of course, there were smart people among these people. They quickly raised a question, "Mr. Mo, there must be a condition to become a level 10 great hunter in a short period of time, right?" Immortal nodded and said, "Of course. There is only one condition to become a level 10 great hunter in a short period of time, and that is to become a blood kindred." Blood kindred. This. Hearing Immortal's words, everyone's heart shuddered. They were very excited when they heard that they could become level 10 great hunters in a short period of time. However, the price of this condition was too high. "Mr. Mo, after becoming a member of the blood clan, do you have to drink human blood continuously?" Immortal pointed at the curvaceous Emma. "This Emma has the most right to speak." Emma took a step forward. Every step she took revealed the fatal seduction of a mature woman. Although she did not deliberately seduce anyone, she was born with this kind of temperament. There was no other way. Many of the men below felt their throats dry up when they saw Emma. In the face of such a woman, there was no man who wouldn't be moved. Even if this woman was a vampire. Even the little monk's eyes lit up. However, those men quickly lowered their heads. She did not dare to look at Emma again. In their eyes, Emma was Mr. Mo's woman. Even though her relationship with Mr. Mo was not as close as Happy's relationship with Mr. Mo. However, any man would be tempted by such a woman who exuded a fatal temptation from head to toe. Mr. Mo was no exception. In that case, she was naturally Mr. Mo's woman. Who dared to have designs on Mr. Mo's woman? Wasn't that just courting death? Thinking of this, they didn't even dare to look at Emma. The little monk also put his palms together and chanted the name of Buddha in a low voice. "Amitba, it's all in vain." Emma glanced at the people below. Her voice was also full of temptation, although she was only speaking in a normal tone. After advancing to a level 10 super mutant vampire, the desire for human blood in your heart will be greatly reduced. You can completely use the blood of other creatures to replace human blood. Although human blood is still delicious in the eyes of level 10 super mutant vampires, it is not indispensable. As a former human, I can completely resist this temptation. Immortal spoke at this moment. When I first found Emma, she was forcefully turned into a vampire. At that time, she was only a level 1 vampire. For level 1 vampires, human blood is a necessity. But at that time, she would rather starve to death than taste a mouthful of human blood that was delivered to her mouth. If even Emma could resist when she had to suck blood at level 1, then when you become level 10 super mutant vampires, human blood is not a necessity. Could it be that you still can't resist? When the people below heard this, they all looked ashamed. Emma continued speaking. After becoming a vampire, there is one greatest benefit, immortality. As long as you continue to suck blood and maintain your body's condition, then you will have almost endless life. This sentence reminded everyone, and many people's eyes lit up. Although they already knew that the legendary vampires were almost immortal. But they did not really believe it. Even monsters like zombies would rot after hundreds of years. Naturally, vampires would not be spared. But now, hearing it from a vampire personally, they finally believed it a little. That was an endless life. Who did not want to live forever? Mosher looked at the people below, and each of their eyes lit up. He continued speaking. Of course, I will not force you. Everything will be voluntary. There are only 100 people in the first batch. If anyone wants to be turned into a vampire in the future, we will talk about it later. When everyone heard Mosher's words, they all raised their hands. Mr. Mo, I want to become a vampire. Mr. Mo, I want it too. Among them, the most enthusiastic ones were those who were still rank 1 and rank 2 hunters. They saw that the people around them had all become stronger, but because of their lack of talent, they had been stuck at level 1 or 2. Now that there was a chance to become a level 10 hunter, how could they not be excited? Mosher waved at Guo Jutao and gave him 100 small bottles. He said, pick 100 people and give each of them a bottle. Guo Jutao nodded and said, yes, Mr. Mo, so that night, there were 100 level 10 super mutant vampires in the base. Soon, these 100 people would become level 1 evolved vampires. At that time, the base's strength would be greatly improved. After doing all this, Mosher said to Emma. It seems that your strength can only increase quickly by sucking more blood. And it must be the blood of creatures that are on par with you or beyond your strength. Emma nodded. Yes, Master. Mosher said, with your strength, it will be too difficult to deal with the level 5 wild beasts on the island. Come with me to a place tomorrow. Emma had no objections. Yes, Master. The next morning, Mosher told Happy that he would be away for a few days. Even though Happy was reluctant to part with him, he still supported Mosher. He told Mosher to go and come back early. At 9:00 in the morning, Mosher took Emma and her son and left the base. When people saw the three of them leave, they all thought to themselves, she really is Mr. Mo's woman. Some people muttered in their hearts, won't Happy be jealous? When they turned around, they saw that Happy had already gone to the farm to work. Happy felt that the others were getting stronger quickly, but he was still an ordinary person. If he couldn't help much, he could only go to the farm. So he worked on the farm every day. The farm was named after her, Happy Farm. Chapter 257. The sun hung high in the sky above the blue sea. Mosher and Emma spent more than 5 hours flying across the sea and arrived at Hunting Island number 2. Hunting Island number 2 was about the same size as Hunting Island number 1. However, compared to the deserted Hunting Island number 1, Hunting Island number 2 was as busy as a marketplace. After all, there were countless level 1 and level 2 wild beasts in Hunting Ground number 1. It was suitable for level 1 to level 2 hunters to train here. Level 1 and level 2 hunters were the most numerous in the Flaming Land. When Mosher and Emma landed on Hunting Island number 1, they attracted a lot of attention. To be exact, it was Emma who attracted a lot of attention. The feminine charm that she exuded with every movement was truly irresistible. Of course, Mosher had noticed this. He frowned slightly. He didn't think it through. He wanted to let Emma improve her strength. However, looking at the current situation, it might cause some trouble. Although he wasn't a person who was afraid of trouble, he was afraid of trouble. Sigh, forget it. Since he's already here, let him be. As they walked forward with the crowd, they saw that the entire hunting island number 2 had all kinds of facilities. Entertainment, dining, leisure, socializing, everything was there. Mo sure wasn't interested in these. He brought Emma and went straight to the ticketing hall. They used their real names to buy tickets. The monk had already forged Mo sure and Emma's information on the internet. At this moment, there were already long lines at more than 10 ticketing windows. Mo sure brought Emma and her son to the back of one of the lines. In front of them was a beautiful girl in her 20s. When she inadvertently turned around and saw Emma, she couldn't help but be stunned. Then, a hint of jealousy flashed in her eyes. She thought that she was already very beautiful, but in front of this woman, she actually felt a sense of inferiority. Emma didn't care about this. After a while, 5 people came from the line next to her. An insufferably arrogant young man and 4 middle-aged men. Mo sure secretly used the blood dragon's eye to look at the 5 of them. The young man was a level 1 hunter. Of the 4 middle-aged men behind him, 3 were level 6 scavengers and 1 was a level 4 psychic master. It was obvious that he was a young master from some major power who was here to gain experience. The 4 bodyguards around him were there to protect him. The young man glanced at the people in the ticketing hall and seemed a little impatient. But when he glanced at Emma, he suddenly looked away. He looked at Emma from head to toe. Especially when he saw Emma's curvaceous figure from the side, his eyes couldn't help but flicker with a certain flame. He had played with many women, but he had never seen one with such a beautiful figure and such a beautiful face. "Beauty, do you want to team up with me later?" He couldn't help but ask. Emma didn't even look at her. The young man sneered inwardly. He had seen too many women who pretended to be aloof. As long as he threw out some temptation, these women would rush to curry favor with him. They were all the same. He spoke again. "Beauty, I'm afraid it's not safe for you to bring a child with you. Why don't we team up? Let me introduce myself. My surname is Cheng and my name is Bao. Others call me Third Young Master Cheng. Have you heard of the Cheng family? The top 100 forces in Yuzhou." As soon as he said this, some people around looked over. It turned out to be the Cheng family, one of the top 100 forces in Yuzhou. Each of the top 100 forces in Yuzhou had at least one desolate hunter. The Cheng family of Yuzhou was ranked 84th among the forces in Yuzhou. It didn't seem to be ranked high, but Yuzhou was very big. Among them, there were more than 30,000 forces, big and small. Among so many forces, those who could be ranked in the top 100 definitely had real strength. When the people around knew that Cheng Bao was the third young master of the Cheng family of Yuzhou, they all had a kind smile on their faces. "So it's third young master Cheng. Sorry for the disrespect." "Hello, third young master Cheng. I visited the Cheng family of Yuzhou a month ago." "Third young master Cheng, you don't have to pay later. I'll pay for your ticket." Cheng Bao listened to the flattery around him and showed a satisfied expression. Then he looked at Emma. "The 4 people behind me are all level 5 desolate hunters. They can definitely keep you and your child safe. So I suggest that you form a team." Emma didn't even look at him and said coldly, "Not interested." Hearing this, third young master Cheng's face darkened. He didn't introduce himself just now and was rejected by this woman. He could only say that she didn't know his identity. Now that she knew his identity, she still dared to reject him. This made third young master Cheng feel that he had lost face in front of so many people. He snorted coldly, "Good, you have guts." But in his heart, he said, "When we reach the second hunting ground, you will beg me." When the surrounding people saw that this woman actually rejected third young master Cheng, they all tried to flatter third young master Cheng. "It's not easy for you to take care of a child. Why don't you form a team with third young master Cheng? The strong people behind third young master Cheng can protect your son. You can also train without worry. Alas, why do you have to compete with yourself? Take a step back and you will have a better view." Emma continued to ignore these people. After queuing for more than 10 minutes, Immortal and the others bought the tickets. They had signed a life and death contract. In the hunting ground, it was inevitable that there would be casualties. The life and death contract stated that the casualties in the hunting ground had nothing to do with the hunting ground. Then, they came to the teleportation hall and were teleported to the second hunting ground. The second hunting ground was called the Night Ghost Planet. The place where Immortal and the others were teleported to was a wasteland. In the sky, there was a pale white setting sun. Looking around, the ground was filled with rocks of various sizes. There was not even a single plant. Before coming to the hunting ground, these people had basically read about the strategy of the second hunting ground on the internet. They knew that this wasteland looked peaceful during the day, as if there was nothing there. But at night, it was extremely dangerous. Therefore, they had to leave this place as soon as they were teleported here. The people who had just been teleported here activated their hover skates and left quickly. Immortal and Emma were the only ones who didn't leave. They stayed where they were. When the beautiful girl who stood in front of Emma saw this, her eyes flashed with a hint of gloating. Then, she left quickly. Third young Master Cheng saw Immortal and Emma together. He finally understood why this woman ignored him just now. He opened his mouth slightly and was about to say something to Immortal. But a level 6 hunter beside him reminded him. Third young master, we are here to train this time. Master said not to cause any trouble. Seeing this, third young Master Cheng snorted coldly. They are lucky. Then, he activated his hover skates and flew into the distance. Third young Master Cheng did not know that he had just walked around the gates of hell. Chapter 258. Third young Master Cheng did not know that he had just taken a trip around the gates of hell. The others had not gone far, so Immortal did not make a move. Otherwise, based on what third young Master Cheng had said just now, Immortal would have killed him long ago. Third young Master Cheng. Top 100 factions in Yuzhou. In front of Immortal, he was just an ant. After Immortal waited for those people to leave, he glanced at the white sun on the horizon. The white sun had already set on a mountain in the distance. On the other side, a pale green moon rose. This moon was bigger than the moons on Earth and the flaming beginning continent. It took up a third of the sky. The entire ground was dyed a pale green. When the white sun in the west finally set behind the mountain. On the ground in the distance, a rock the size of a human head suddenly rolled to the side. A shriveled hand was revealed. This hand was pale white and did not seem to have any flesh. It was just pale skin wrapped around bones. This hand clawed the ground and exerted force. The entire pale arm broke free from the ground. Then, a second arm broke free. Then the head and the entire body. This was a humanoid monster. The monster's skin was pale white. From the looks of it, he was just skin and bones. Through the skin, one could clearly see the ribs. Its head was so thin that it almost looked like a skeleton. Its eyeballs were completely white. The fingers on both hands were more than a foot long and looked extremely sharp. Immortal opened the blood dragon's eye and looked at this thing. Species, Night Ghost, Level 1 Evolved, Ability, Absorb Energy. Immortal understood that the Night Ghost was a major feature of the second hunting ground. Among the few viruses in the second hunting ground, the most common one was the Night Ghost virus. Any human or animal infected with the Night Ghost virus would turn a ghastly white. That was why they were also called white ghosts. After being infected with the Night Ghost virus, these creatures would become extremely bloodthirsty. Moreover, when they bit uninfected creatures, they could absorb the energy of these creatures. Therefore, the Night Ghosts were very dangerous to the hunters. A level 1 Night Ghost was equivalent to a level 1 scavenger. This was exactly what Immortal needed right now. When the Night Ghost discovered Immortal, it immediately let out a roar. Its roar was very strange, like the sound of an old wooden door being turned. Gagagagagag. The next moment, it pounced straight at Immortal. Immortal's figure leaped, using the dragon's shadow step, he instantly leaped 10 kilometers high in the sky. Seeing this, Emma quickly extended a pair of blood-red wings from her back. Then, it flapped its wings and flew into the air with its son. She had seen how violent her master's physical strength was. If his son was still down there, he wouldn't have been able to withstand the aftershocks. The night ghost looked up and saw Immortal descending from the sky. The two rows of teeth were constantly colliding with each other, making a ga-ga-ga sound. Then, it also leaped straight towards Immortal, who was falling from the sky. However, it had only reached 50 meters. Immortal's fist had already landed on its head. Boom, the huge force smashed the night ghost to the ground. A huge pit with a diameter of 100 meters appeared on the ground. Emma, who was in the sky, saw this huge pit and was amazed. Her master didn't use any energy. Just his physical strength was enough to create such a huge pit in the ground. His strength was really terrifying. At this moment, she looked at the night ghost in the pit. It didn't look like a ghost at all. Its head had long exploded into a pile of mush. The energy in its body had long been depleted. Naturally, it couldn't be healed. One punch killed a level 1 night ghost. Even though Emma knew that her master was very strong, she didn't expect him to be this strong. Without using telekinesis or energy, he killed a level 1 night ghost with just physical strength. At the same time, a notification sounded in Immortal's mind. Frowny face killed 1 level 1 night ghost. Received 1 drop of Titan dragon blood. Then, the second night ghost crawled out. Immortal killed it with another punch. Then the third, fourth, and fifth. More and more. At first, Immortal could deal with them alone. He killed one after another. But soon, more and more night ghosts crawled out. Immortal couldn't deal with them alone. Emma also started to make her move. Emma dealt with these level 1 evolved night ghosts with ease. However, she used her own energy and the telekinesis of a level 1 psychic to kill these night ghosts easily. But as time passed, there were more and more night ghosts here. 50, 100, 500. Thousands of night ghosts. They completely surrounded Immortal and Emma. This was why the guides on the internet said not to come to this hell wasteland at night. Generally, those who came here for experience were basically level 1 or level 2 hunters. They could deal with 1 or 2 night ghosts. If there were more than 10, they would die. Naturally, they didn't dare to stay in this hell wasteland for long. But Immortal was different. He used his dragon will to cover a radius of 50 meters. These night ghosts couldn't break through his dragon will barrier at all. He only let 10 night ghosts in each time. He killed them one by one with a punch. Gradually, he killed more and more night ghosts. 10, 50, 100, 500. When this 50-meter radius was filled with night ghosts' corpses and there was no place to stand, Immortal had already obtained more than 1,000 drops of blood. Emma, on the other hand, had only killed less than 100 night ghosts. Immortal swallowed these 1,000 drops of blood. He only felt the energy in his body surging. He could clearly feel that as long as he did it again, he would be able to improve again. They moved forward 500 meters. Immortal used his dragon will to throw all the night ghosts within a radius of 50 meters outside, clearing out an empty space. Once again, he formed a dragon will barrier to keep these night ghosts outside. He put in 11 at a time. He dealt with 10, Emma dealt with 1. Gradually, the eastern sky began to turn white. And Immortal had already killed more than 1,000 night ghosts again. He obtained more than 1,000 drops of Titan dragon blood. He swallowed these 1,000 drops of Titan dragon blood. The energy in his body skyrocketed again. He could clearly feel that he was only a hair's breadth away from leveling up. At most, he was 7 or 8 drops of Titan dragon blood away. At this time, because the sky was bright, some of the night ghosts around had already burrowed into the ground again. Some continued to try to pounce on Immortal and the others, wanting to eat Immortal and the others before the sun came out. Immortal's lips curled up. With a move of his dragon will, a gap opened in the dragon will barrier. Ga 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 ga, another 10 night ghosts screamed and rushed in. Chapter 259. Immortal watched as the 10 night ghosts rushed in. His eyes shone brightly. He leaped up and rushed down. One punch. Boom, the head of one of the night ghosts exploded. Another punch. Boom, the head of the second night ghost also exploded. A moment later, only the last night ghost was left. Immortal leaped up. At a height of 10,000 meters, the sun in the east had already illuminated his cheeks. He jumped down. Boom, this punch landed heavily on the head of the last night ghost. The huge impact smashed the entire head of the night ghost into the ground. The shockwave sent the thousands of night ghost corpses flying high into the air. They fell like hailstones. Pa 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 pa, they fell to the ground. Another notification popped up in his mind. Frowny face killed one level 1 evolved night ghost. Obtained 1 drop of giant dragon blood. Immortal took out the 10 drops of giant dragon blood from the system space and swallowed them. It was also at this moment that the feeling of his body heating up appeared again. His skin quickly turned red. His eyes also turned fiery red. The temperature of his body was rising. Even Emma, who was beside him, could clearly feel the high temperature of Immortal's body. She looked at Immortal in surprise and asked, "Master, are you okay?" Immortal did not answer her. He just stood there motionless like a wooden sculpture. Seeing this, Emma quickly observed her surroundings carefully, to prevent other night ghosts from breaking in. Fortunately, although Immortal was leveling up, his dragon will did not relax. Those night ghosts could not break through Immortal's dragon will barrier at all. In addition, the sun had already risen. Although the pale white sun did not seem to have any heat. But these night ghosts scattered in all directions and burrowed into the ground in fear. Some of the night ghosts who burrowed late immediately burst into flames when the sun shone on their bodies. They let out strange screams from their throats. Crunch crunch, they burrowed into the ground. For a moment, the wasteland that was filled with night ghosts returned to silence in a very short period of time. Complete silence. Not even the slightest sound of wind could be heard. On the wasteland, only 2 huge circles with a radius of 50 meters were left. Corpses of the night ghosts were strewn all over the place. After death, night ghosts would not burn when exposed to sunlight. Finally, the fiery red color on Immortal's body slowly receded. He finally moved again. Emma heaved a sigh of relief. At this time, Immortal had been promoted to a level 3 hunter. Immortal, a level 3 hunter, could crush a hunter of the same level with his physical strength. Looking around, it was a boundless wilderness. Then, he looked at the 2,000 night ghosts' corpses in the 2 giant circles. Immortal was secretly delighted. At this rate, he would only need to stay here for another week at most to raise his strength by another level. It seemed like it was the right decision to come to the second hunting ground. Emma's son opened his mouth repeatedly. Although she had followed Emma and seen many monsters and massacres, she was not afraid of these night ghosts. But she was just an ordinary person now. She had not slept the whole night and was very sleepy. Emma took out some dry food for her son to eat. Immortal took out the dragon's cave. The dragon's cave quickly expanded. After the 3 of them entered the dragon's cave, it disappeared in the air as if it had never existed. At the same time, some of the other hunters who came in with Immortal were injured, and some were even on the verge of death. Although they had escaped the wasteland, night ghosts were everywhere on planet Night Ghosts. Although there were not as many night ghosts in other places, there were still quite a few. When these people were training, they would often encounter 3 to 5, dozens, or even hundreds of night ghosts. Many of them had gone through a night of fighting and killed a few night ghosts. When the night ghosts burrowed into the ground at dawn, they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The beautiful girl who was jealous of Emma's appearance also had a few wounds on her body after a night of fighting. Her hair was messy, and one of her sleeves was torn off, revealing her fair arm. She looked very haggard. Fortunately, she had brought some medicine. After taking it, the virus was expelled from her body. Otherwise, it would not be long before she became a night ghost. Among these people, the most comfortable was third young Master Cheng. Although he'd encountered quite a few night ghosts, he'd brought 4 powerful followers with him. When he encountered danger that he could not avoid, the 4 followers would help him deal with it. But even so, he had been running for his life the whole night. After all, the 4 followers would only help when he could not avoid danger. At this moment, he was sitting on a rock by the river, panting. Even though he was a level 1 hunter, after a night of fighting and running, he was almost exhausted. A follower next to him handed him a water bag. He gulped down a few mouthfuls. He said, "Can we go back now?" A follower shook his head. "Third young master, the master said that we have to train for at least a month before we can go back." Pfft, third young Master Cheng spat out the water in his mouth. "What? A month? You might as well kill me. So I'm not your biological son at all?" The 4 followers did not dare to answer. Third young Master Cheng saw that the 4 of them were determined to make him stay here for a month. He knew that it was useless to protest. He could only shake his head. "Forget it. A month it is. Anyway, with you guys here, I won't die. It's just that I can't touch women for a month. It's too much." Speaking of this, he thought of the woman from yesterday, who had exuded a fatal temptation with every move she made. That woman was really TSK. But when he thought of that woman following that pretty boy, he could not help but get angry. That pretty boy was so stupid to stay in the hell wasteland with that woman. One had to know that even his 4 followers would have no chance of survival in the hell wasteland. If they stayed there, they would definitely die. If that pretty boy died, then so be it. If that stupid child died, then so be it. It was just a pity for that woman. At the same time, at the coordinates of the hell wasteland, more than 100 blue and white light balls slowly condensed into human figures. This was the first batch of trainees of the day. After they appeared, someone looked at the wasteland full of big and small stones and shouted with a sense of novelty. "Wow, is this the hell wasteland? It's really the same as what the guide said." An 18-year-old girl said. "The hell wasteland is peaceful during the day, but ghosts roam at night. Even level 6 and level 7 hunters don't dare to spend the night here. So everyone better leave before the sun sets." Everyone nodded. But at this time, someone suddenly said, "What's that?" Chapter 260. In broad daylight, on the wasteland of hell. Rocks of all sizes stretched as far as the eye could see. At the teleportation coordinates, more than 100 cultivators had just teleported over. Someone suddenly pointed into the distance and exclaimed, "What's that?" Everyone looked in the direction of his finger. There were 2 piles of things there. Upon closer inspection, they found that they were actually 2 piles of night ghost corpses. Everyone came to the 2 piles of corpses in surprise. They saw that each pile of corpses was a perfect circle. It was 100 meters in diameter. Thousands of night specter corpses were scattered all over the place within this 100-meter circle. Apart from a small number of corpses that were killed by sharp claws and energy, most of the corpses had their heads blown off. Everyone was astonished. There are so many night ghost corpses. Did someone kill them here last night? A blonde blurted out subconsciously, "What a joke. Staying here at night is simply courting death. Maybe someone killed them somewhere else and moved these corpses here." Another person asked, "What's the purpose?" "Who knows? Maybe it's just a prank." The blonde shrugged and said nonchalantly. However, a refined young man analyzed with a solemn expression. "My father has been a private investigator for many years. I've learned a lot from him. Judging from the blood on the ground, this is the first scene. The blonde curled his lips. TSK. How do you prove it? The refined young man pushed up his glasses and said, listen to me. I'll prove it to you. He looked at the multifunction watch on his wrist. It's 7:05. It's only been 13 minutes since sunrise. If they were moved here from somewhere else, who could move more than 2,000 corpses here in 13 minutes? So I'm sure that this is the first scene. When the yellow-haired man heard this, he felt a little embarrassed and argued forcefully. Maybe they moved here all day yesterday. The refined young man smiled and shook his head. That's even more impossible. Judging from the blood on these night ghosts, they must have died not long ago. It can't be yesterday. The blonde youth braced himself and said, this is all your imagination, fabricating something out of thin air, creating something out of nothing. According to you, an expert stayed here for a night and killed more than 2,000 night ghosts. The refined young man nodded. That's right. With that, he flipped one of the night ghosts over and carefully examined the wound. This wound is definitely not caused by a sharp weapon or energy. It's a blunt weapon, and it's very likely a fist. Then, he checked another corpse. Slightly surprised, he said, 1 punch to the head. He flipped over another corpse and said, 1 punch to the head. He continued to flip through the pages. 1 punch to the head. 1 punch to the head. It's still a headshot. Then, he looked at the huge pits around him, and his voice was filled with surprise. There were 2 of them. One of them had sharp claws as his weapon, while the other had fists. Most of the night ghosts were killed by the man with his fists. When the yellow-haired man heard this, he couldn't help but laugh loudly. It was as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. You're saying that there are people who don't use energy or weapons. He killed over 1,000 level 1 evolved night ghosts with just his fists. The refined young man pushed up his glasses and nodded solemnly. Yes. When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. That's impossible. To be able to do this, I'm afraid his strength has already reached level 7 or level 8. Someone immediately retorted, level 7 or level 8 hunters should go to the 7th and 8th hunting grounds. Why would they waste their precious time in the first hunting ground? For example, if you're a level 2 hunter now, would you waste your time in the first hunting ground? There's not even a level 1 wild beast there. This person's words attracted the agreement of many others. For a hunter, time was very precious. Other than the daily training, they would go to various places to adventure and gain experience. High-level hunters would not go to low-level hunting grounds at all. Because there was no benefit to them at all, and it would waste a lot of time. Someone said, that means that this hunter is very likely a hunter who specializes in strengthening his body. The refined young man nodded. The yellow-haired man chuckled and said, even if it's a hunter who specializes in strengthening his body, it's impossible for him to spend the night in the hell wasteland. After all, even a level 5 or level 6 hunter wouldn't dare to spend the night here. So what you said is bullshit. The refined young man smiled and said, after following my father as a detective for so many years, the only feeling I have is that the world is big and there are all kinds of strange things. Anything illogical can happen. If you want to prove that I'm lying, you can stay here with me tonight. I reckon that the hunter will come here again tonight. The yellow-haired man scolded, you're crazy. Then, he stepped on his hover boots and flew away. Who would dare to spend the night here? Even if there were more than 100 of them, they wouldn't dare to stay here for a night. Let alone a night, they wouldn't even dare to stay for a minute. The rest of the people were all looking forward to meeting that mysterious expert. If there's really such a person, I'd like to meet him. Yeah, he could kill a level 1 evolved night ghost with just his fists. Such a person is worth befriending. It's a pity that none of us dare to stay here for the night. As they spoke, they activated their hover boots one after another. In groups of 3 to 5, they flew into the distance. That night, not long after the sun set, a pale green moon had already risen in the east. It was like a green monster that wanted to devour the earth. It made people feel nervous just by looking at it. The night ghosts crawled out of the ground one after another. 10,000 ghosts roamed at night, wailing and howling like ghosts. It was like hell. At this moment, the space somewhere suddenly distorted. 100-meter-tall mountain appeared out of thin air. There was a cave at the top of the mountain. 3 people jumped out of the cave. It was Immortal and the other 2. When they jumped out, the mountain shrunk to the size of a walnut and returned to Immortal's palm. With a thought, Immortal put it back into his backpack. When the tens of thousands of night ghosts saw Immortal and the others appear, they all screamed. They were like a group of monkeys that had rushed into a peach garden. He was so excited that his eyes were shining. Their 2 rows of teeth kept colliding, making a strange sound. Gagagagagagag, gagagagagag. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws and pounced at Immortal and the others. Just like last night, Immortal threw the extra night ghosts out with dragon will. Only 10 night ghosts were left. These 10 night ghosts were not only not afraid when they saw the other night ghosts being thrown out, but were also very excited. After all, there were too many ghosts and too little meat. There wasn't enough to go around. Now that there were only 10 night ghosts left, each of them could eat their fill. Chapter 261. He watched as the 10 night ghosts pounced over. Immortal no longer needed to jump into the air. After advancing to level 3, his strength had increased by dozens of times. He stomped on the ground with his right foot, and his body shot out like an arrow. He jumped more than 20 meters in an instant. He was so fast that it completely exceeded the night ghosts' reaction speed. By the time the night ghosts reacted, Immortal's fist had already smashed into their heads. Bang! The night ghost's head exploded. Then, Immortal dodged the attacks of 2 night ghosts. His upper body spun half a circle. Using the force of the rotation, he exerted force with his right elbow. He hit a night ghost's head. Crack! Under Immortal's immense strength, the night ghost was sent flying 100 meters away. Its head didn't cave in, but exploded. The 3rd night ghost was about to bite him. Immortal retreated 1,000 meters with the dragon shadow step. Then, he used the dragon shadow step again and leaped toward the night ghost. When he arrived in front of the night ghost, he raised his right knee and hit the night ghost's head. Behind the night ghost, another night ghost pounced over. Crack, crack. 2 sounds in a row. This attack had insta-killed 2 night ghosts. Then, he punched and kicked and quickly finished off the remaining night ghosts. It only took 30 seconds to kill 10 night ghosts. Compared to last night, this efficiency was greatly increased. This was the increase in Immortal's strength after advancing. Emma, who was beside him, was secretly surprised when she saw this. Although her master was very good at dealing with the night ghosts last night, it was far from being as efficient as now. Could it be that her master's strength had increased again in just one day? This speed of improvement was too terrifying. Immortal killed 10 night ghosts. Looking at his fist, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Awesome." The feeling of being filled with power made him exclaim. This time, he directly put in 20 night ghosts. Just like before, he dealt with the 20 night ghosts in just a few moves. Then, he put in 30 night ghosts at once. An hour later, he could already deal with 50 night ghosts at the same time. This way, his speed of killing night ghosts greatly increased. In one night, they had killed more than 13,000 night ghosts. As a result, he obtained more than 13,000 drops of dragon blood. Looking at his backpack full of WIRM blood, Immortal was pleasantly surprised. This was similar to the feeling of farming monsters at the spawn point when he was playing private server games. There was only one word to describe it: awesome. Seeing that the sun had risen, all the night ghosts that were still alive began to return to the surface. Immortal and Emma also returned to the dragon's denver. After consuming more than 10,000 drops of Titan dragon blood, the energy in Emosher's body had increased significantly. Now, the energy in his body was at least 100 times stronger than that of a hunter at the same level. Even if he didn't use the dragon will, he could easily kill opponents of the same level with just his energy and physical strength. At the same time, at the coordinates outside, today's first batch of trainees had arrived. When they arrived at this hellish wasteland, everyone was stunned for a few seconds. Corpses of night ghosts littered the ground around the coordinates. Preliminary estimates showed that there were about 15,000 of them. Damn, what's going on? My dad told me that the night ghosts in the hellish wasteland are all very terrifying. But it doesn't look like it. Could it be that a powerful senior has come here? Your senior is willing to come to the second hunting ground to waste his time. Just as they were exclaiming in amazement, 5 people also flew over from afar. They were the first batch of trainees who had arrived yesterday. One of them was the bespectacled private detective. They were all shocked when they saw the corpses of night ghosts piled up all over the ground. He was here again last night. He killed more than 10,000 of them in one night, and he killed them with his physical strength. Isn't this 2F** king exaggerated? Someone hurriedly said, watch your words. Be careful not to let that mysterious expert overhear you. The man quickly stuck out his tongue, looked around, and said, Mysterious expert, I'm sorry. Mysterious expert, I'm sorry. I'm just expressing my feelings. I don't mean any disrespect to you. Hearing their conversation, the trainees who had arrived today couldn't help but ask in surprise, do you know who this expert is? The bespectacled private detective shook his head. We don't know. We just saw more than 2,000 night ghosts yesterday and guessed that there was an expert. But we didn't expect him to kill more than 10,000 night ghosts in one night, and all of them were killed with his physical strength. When the crowd heard this, they all revealed looks of admiration. Even the elders in their families who had reached level 10 would not be able to kill so many level 1 evolved night ghosts in one night with their physical strength alone. After all, one's strength would run out eventually, and the night ghosts here were almost endless. Even a level 10 expert would die of exhaustion if he didn't use his energy. They didn't know that Emosher had recovery potions. If he ran out of strength, he could use dozens of recovery potions to recover his strength in minutes. Why don't we come over tonight and see who this expert is? A young man suggested. Everyone's gazes immediately turned to look at him. Children shouldn't talk nonsense. This is the hellish wasteland. Ghosts roam at night. Even if we come together, we can only last a few minutes. You think you're that mysterious expert? The young man also realized that he had said something wrong. He shook his head and smiled. No, no, no. How can I compare to the mysterious expert? At the same time, 300 kilometers away, in a cave on a mountain. Third young Master Cheng's hair was disheveled, and his clothes were almost tattered. He lay on the ground in the cave, not even bothering to take the water that a follower offered him. He was gasping for air. He cursed his father in his heart. Why did he send him to such a lousy place? Experience your sister. If he continued training like this, he would die in a few days. He was unlucky last night. The 3 waves of night ghosts he encountered were all level 2 night ghosts. The 4 dead people next to him, other than helping him when he was in absolute danger, were just watching from the side. He watched helplessly as a group of night ghosts chased him all over the mountains and plains. Fortunately, he had brought a few life-saving items with him before he left. Otherwise, even if he wasn't killed by the night ghosts, he would be exhausted from running for his life. As for killing the night ghosts, damn, they were all level 2 night ghosts. How could he, a level 1 hunter, kill them? What, you said you were fighting above your level? Only perverts would do such a thing. How could a normal person like him do such a thing? Chapter 262. For the next 3 days, Emosher killed the night ghosts in the Hell Wasteland almost every night. Every morning, there would be 10 to 20,000 night ghosts' corpses left on the wasteland. Every day, those who entered the second hunting ground would see the ground covered with night ghosts' corpses. They were all very curious. Who did this? But no one dared to stay and find out at night. But everyone knew that a mysterious expert had appeared in the second hunting ground. Emosure thought that this situation would continue and that he would reach level 3 in a few days. But on this night, Emosure found that the number of night ghosts in the Hell Wasteland had decreased sharply compared to before. At most, there were only 3,000 of them. After Emosure killed all the night ghosts, no more night ghosts crawled out. For the rest of the night, there was not even a single night ghost. Emosure was puzzled. Logically speaking, there should be an endless number of night ghosts under the wasteland. Why didn't they come out? Was it because they were scared of him? In fact, Emosure's guess was right. Although these night ghosts had limited intelligence, they were not brainless. In the first few days, they thought that no matter how strong these humans were, they could eat them with their advantage in numbers. But as time passed, they were horrified to find that this human was a complete monster. Even if there were 10 or 100 times more of them, they would not be able to eat them. Not only could they not eat them, but if they went in groups, they would just be delivering themselves to the night ghosts. So, these night ghosts stopped appearing. Emosure saw that there were no more night ghosts. He could only shrug helplessly. He said to Emma, "Let's go check out other places." According to the previous guide, Emosure knew that there was another place on planet Night Ghost that had countless night ghosts. That was the Death Swamp. Emosure turned on his multifunction watch and opened the navigation function. The little monk had already saved the map of planet Night Ghost into his multifunction watch. Emosure said, "Go to the Death Swamp." The multifunction watch activated the scanning function and scanned the surrounding terrain, quickly matching it to the map. Then, the mechanical female voice sounded, "You are 53,323 kilometers away from the Death Swamp. Please choose a mode of travel, walk, fly, or take a vehicle." "Fly," Emosure said. Soon, an almost straight route appeared on the virtual screen of the map. Emosure and Emma flew in the direction of the Death Swamp under the illumination of the pale green moon that took up a third of the sky. Along the way, Emosure saw groups of night ghosts appearing on the ground and landing from time to time. Kill these night ghosts. After flying for about 10 minutes, 3 night ghosts appeared beside a lake below. Emosure's blood dragon's eye swept across. Species, Night Ghost, Level 2 Evolution. The 3 night ghosts were all level 2 evolved night ghosts. Emosure retracted his blood dragon wings and plummeted from the sky. Taking advantage of the falling momentum, he threw a punch at one of the night ghosts. The night ghosts reacted quickly as well. Hearing the sound of air being torn apart, Zhang Xian hurriedly raised his head. He saw a black shadow crashing down towards him. He hurriedly turned to the side. However, it was still a little too late. Although the punch was a little off target, it still hit its head. Bang! Its head instantly caved in. At the same time, Emosure's punch also used the inner strength of the ancient fist technique on Earth. The inner strength passed through the night ghost's body and directly shattered the energy bubble that stored energy in its body. As a result, the night ghost's body completely lost its self-healing ability. It collapsed to the ground. When the other 2 night ghosts saw this, their upper and lower rows of teeth kept clattering, making a strange sound. Ga 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 ga, they bared their fangs and brandished their claws and pounced at Emosure. And on the tips of their claws, there was a flash of energy. One of the night ghosts slashed at Emosure with its claws. Emosure dodged to the side. Whoosh, that claw actually released a sharp energy. On the ground behind Emosure, there was a claw mark that was more than 20 meters long and 3 meters wide. This was the difference between a level 2 evolved night ghost and a level 1 evolved night ghost. A level 2 evolved night ghost could release such an energy attack twice. Therefore, a level 2 evolved night ghost was much stronger than a level 1 evolved night ghost. However, in front of Emosher's agility, it was impossible for such an attack to hurt him. He had already used the dragon's shadow step to jump 10,000 meters. Then, he smashed towards the ground. Another punch was thrown at the night ghost's head. The night ghost crossed its arms and wanted to block. Crack, crack, 2 sounds in a row. The first was the sound of the night ghost's arms being broken. The second sound was the sound of the top of its head being smashed inwards. The second night ghost also went limp. When Emosher killed a level 2 evolved night ghost, although it was not as easy as killing a level 1 evolved night ghost, he could still kill it with one punch by using the height. Then, the third night ghost's head was also dented. He was about to leave. But at this moment, he realized that the night ghost's body was rapidly recovering. Emosher was a little surprised. He had clearly used his inner strength to shatter the energy bubble in the night ghost's abdomen. Logically speaking, it should have lost its self-healing ability. How could it still heal itself? In his surprise, he saw that the night ghost's body was rapidly changing. On its back, spikes that were more than a foot long began to grow. 2 thick horns grew out of its forehead. When Emosher saw this, he was immediately delighted. This night ghost had the night ghost's spirit in its body. Legend had it that there was a 1 in a billion chance that the night ghost's spirit would appear in a night ghost's body. The night ghost's spirit was very useful. It was said that after consuming it, it could heal injuries. As long as one was not killed on the spot, the night ghost's spirit could save them. It could also cure all kinds of terminal diseases. It could also extend a person's life to 500 years. Moreover, after consuming it, one could directly advance to a desolate hunter. Of course, there was a price to pay for using it to advance to a desolate hunter. That was, from then on, the realm was equivalent to being locked. They could no longer advance even by 1 level. But even so, it still made people scramble for it. After all, on the mainland, most people would never be able to become a desolate hunter in their lifetime. But now, after consuming the night ghost's spirit, not only could one directly advance to a desolate hunter, it could also extend one's life to 500 years. How could this not make people go crazy? However, the probability of the night ghost's spirit appearing was extremely low. It had appeared once more than 70 years ago, and since then, it had not appeared again. Who would have thought that Emosher would encounter it today? What a fortune! Emosher asked in his mind. System, if I consume the night ghost's spirit, will my realm be limited? Chapter 263. Under the pale green moonlight, the night ghost was transforming. More than 10 meters away. Emosher asked in his mind, System, if I consume the night ghost spirit, will my realm be limited? The system's voice sounded frowny-faced. The host's body has been transformed by dragon blood. How can a mere night ghost spirit limit it? Emosher was overjoyed when he heard this. However, the system poured a bucket of cold water on Emosher. However, after consuming the night ghost spirit, the host's bloodline will no longer be pure. Even if you evolve into a titan dragon in the future, the upper limit will be extremely low. There will be no possibility of further evolution. Emosher smiled bitterly when he heard this. If that was the case, forget it. He had the system, and it was only a matter of time before he became a desolate hunter. If he sought temporary success now and limited his future development, he would be too short-sighted. However, the system's words gave Emosher another piece of information. Are you saying that there's an even stronger existence above the Titan Dragon? The system's voice sounded frowny-faced. The Titan Dragon is only the lowest level of existence among the flying dragons. There are stronger dragons above it. Host, follow the steps set by the system and walk step by step. You will eventually become the most powerful dragon. Emosher was an adult and naturally had his own judgment. Hearing the system's words, he was overwhelmed with emotions and made his choice. The night ghost was now 3 meters tall. And it was still growing. According to legend, after this guy's potential was stimulated, it could grow to 100 meters tall. At that time, whether it was speed, strength, explosive power, or energy, it would be at its peak. Therefore, taking advantage of the time when it was transforming, Immortal leaped. He reached a height of 10,000 meters in an instant. His body flipped and smashed into the ground like a meteorite. Boom, this punch landed heavily on the big guy's head. A shockwave spread out for 100 meters. The top of the night ghost's head caved in. At the same time, the energy bubble in its abdomen burst again. But this was not the end. Immortal swung his sharp claws. Swish 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 swish, a few consecutive claw strikes. The night ghost was cut into several pieces. At the same time, a walnut-sized crystal fell out of the night ghost's body. Above the crystal, energy swirls like white smoke. The energy was still trying to gather the night ghost's flesh and blood to revive it. However, Immortal used his draconic will to suppress the energy within the crystal. The flesh and blood of the night ghosts could no longer gather. Immortal reached out and picked up the crystal. The night ghost spirit was like a hungry wolf that had discovered a flock of sheep. The energy within it kept drilling into Immortal's body. A moment later, it actually tore apart Immortal's left hand and embedded itself into his left hand. Immortal did not feel the slightest bit of pain. At this moment, Immortal's left hand was actually emitting a faint white light. According to what Immortal knew from the memories of others, the night ghost spirit had to be nourished with flesh and blood. Without flesh and blood, it would turn into ashes in just a few minutes. Therefore, once it encountered flesh and blood, it would drill into it. At this moment, if it was not consumed, it would emit a faint white light. Others would know at a glance that it was the night ghost spirit. This was really a hot potato. However, Immortal did not care. With his strength and the sea dragon doppelganger, which had now reached the level of a level 3 strong wild beast, there was no creature on this planet that could be his opponent. Just as he put away the night ghost spirit and was about to leave. Not far away, a lazy voice suddenly sounded. "Kid, hand over the night ghost spirit." Along with the voice, 5 people slowly walked out of the darkness. Under the pale green moonlight, one could see that these 5 people were about 40 years old. They were all level 2 hunters. They were only level 2 hunters in their 40s. Although their talent was not too bad, they could only reach level 5 hunters at most in this lifetime. Immortal was not surprised to see these 5 people appear. Before the battle just now, he had already scanned the surroundings with his draconic will. He knew that there were 5 people hiding in the darkness. However, at that time, he had glanced at the strength of these 5 people and ignored them. At this moment, these 5 people were looking at the faint white light on Immortal's left hand with greed in their eyes. The 5 of them had clearly seen this kid pick up a crystal that was emitting a white light. They also guessed that the white crystal was very likely the night ghost spirit. According to previous information, the energy in the body of a person who had just obtained the night ghost spirit would be limited by the night ghost spirit. In battle, they could not use their abilities at all. Therefore, they appeared when Immortal had just obtained the night ghost spirit. "Kid, you just got the night ghost spirit, so you can't use your energy. Hee, hand over the night ghost spirit and I can consider leaving your corpse intact," one of them said. Another's eyes were also shining as he said, "We also saw that your physical strength is very strong. But do you think you can defeat us with just your physical strength?" The third person laughed and said, "Don't worry, we have always been the most law-abiding. We can gang up on you, but we won't fight alone." The fourth person also laughed. His gaze was fixed on Emma, and he had a perverted smile on his face. "I don't have as many thoughts as you guys. Earning big money, night ghost spirit, and being a desolate hunter. I know that I am unlucky and have no fate with these. Therefore, my thoughts are very realistic. I want to take this girl, hee." The fifth person was slightly older. He only said 2 words. "Do it." As soon as he finished speaking, the 5 of them condensed their genetic weapons at the same time. Their genetic weapons glowed with a fiery red light. "Kid, prepare to die," the 5 of them said in unison. Mo Shi leaped lightly and instantly flashed a kilometer away. The next moment, like a slingshot, he bounced back. At the same time, he kicked with his left and hit the face of the person in front. Bang! That person's head immediately exploded. The other 4 people were shocked. This kid's physical strength was actually so terrifying. Use your strength. The leader of the desolate hunters hurriedly shouted. However, as soon as his voice fell, Mo Shi's figure instantly turned around. A whip kick had already landed on that person's face. Bang! That person's head did not explode. Instead, he was sent flying far away. He flew more than 300 meters away. When the remaining 3 people saw this, their expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly turned around and fled. They originally thought that no matter how strong this kid's physical strength was, he would not be able to win against their genetic weapons. In the end, their genetic weapons were not of any use. This kid's speed was too fast and his strength was too strong. They did not even have the chance to use their genetic weapons to attack. Therefore, if they did not flee now, would they just stand there and wait for death? Chapter 264. Mo Shi killed 2 of them. The remaining 3 immediately regretted it. Although the night ghost spirit was precious, it wasn't worth it compared to their lives. If they lost their lives, what was the use of the night ghost spirit? However, if they wanted to escape at this moment, it was simply a pipe dream. Mo Shi used Dragon's Shadow Step and caught up with them easily. He took care of the 3 of them with 1 punch each. 1 against 5. Without any energy enhancement, he killed the 5 of them in an instant. Although the 5 of them were 1 level lower than Mo Shi, this was enough to shock him. A system notification popped up in his mind. Frowny face killed 5 level 2 hunters. Received 10 drops of Titan Dragon blood. Mo Shi consumed the 10 drops of Titan Dragon blood. Then, he took out a black gauntlet from his backpack and put it on his left hand. On the continent, metal gauntlets, leggings, wrist guards, and so on were very common. Wearing them on his body wouldn't arouse suspicion. The metal gauntlet blocked the light emitted from his left hand. With Mo Shi's strength, he wasn't afraid of anyone stealing it. But that would still be troublesome. So it was better to cover it. At the same time, Mo Shi said in his mind, "System, sign in for a special event." Killing a night ghost with the night ghost spirit should be considered a special event. The system's voice quickly sounded. Frowny face sign in successful. Sign in event. Killed 1 night ghost with the night ghost spirit. Sign in reward. Summon night ghosts, 10 night ghost spirit seeds. Mo Shi carefully looked at the 2 rewards. Summon night ghosts. Summon night ghosts within a radius of 100 kilometers and make them listen to orders. Night ghost spirit seed, plant in a night ghost's body. After 1 year, it will mature and obtain the night ghost spirit. Mo Shi understood the role of these 2 rewards, and couldn't help but reveal a smile on his face. With these 2 skills, as long as he brought some night ghosts back with him when he left, then, he would plant the night ghost spirit seeds in their bodies. After a year, he would be able to create 10 hunters in the base. Thinking of this, Mo Shi directly used the summon night ghost skill. Soon, 10 night ghosts rushed to Mo Shi's side. Mo Shi took out the 10 night ghost spirit seeds from his backpack. These night ghost spirit seeds were only the size of sesame seeds and did not glow at all. You look like the seed of an ordinary plant. Mo Shi ordered the night ghosts, cut open your abdomens. Like obedient students, the night ghosts stretched out their sharp claws and cut open their abdomens. Mo Shi stuffed the 10 night ghost spirit seeds into the bodies of the night ghosts. Then, he threw these night ghosts into his personal reservoir. He also told the sea dragon clone not to eat them. Emma, who was watching from the side, was so shocked that she felt numb. Why were these night ghosts so obedient to their master? However, when he thought of all the unimaginable things that had happened to Mo Shi, any one of them would be shocking enough if it happened to any one of them. But now, they were all focused on master. It could be said that Master was synonymous with miracles. He was the aggregate of impossible events. So, any strange things that happened to him were normal. Thinking about it this way, Emma felt relieved. Then, Emosher took Emma and continued flying forward. After flying for another half an hour, Emosher saw that a mountain below was brightly lit. It turned out that this was a city of natives. There were also humans on the Night Ghost's planet, and there were more than 7 billion of them on Earth. Emosher probed with his dragon consciousness and found that people were holding a bonfire party next to a pool in the city. The fragrant barbecue and all kinds of fruits made Emosher drool. On Hunting Island 1, because they were new to the place, the resources were limited. So, it had been a long time since they had barbecue and other delicacies. Now that he suddenly saw this, Emosher was really hungry. They had been fighting for several nights. It was time to relax. Thinking of this, Emosher and Emma landed outside the city. It was impossible to land directly in the city. The humans here also had anti-air firepower. With Emosher's physical strength, he was not afraid of such firepower at all. But it was too troublesome. Emma folded her wings and the three of them walked toward the city gate. 2 night ghosts caught up with them, but Emosher easily killed them. Soon, they arrived at the city gate. The soldiers guarding the city were surprised to see Emosher and the other 2. These 3 humans were loitering outside the city in the middle of the night. Did they have a death wish? Of course, the soldiers guarding the city had seen outsiders before. Those outsiders generally possessed extremely powerful strength. They were the only ones who could linger outside at night. However, those people were very domineering. Usually, they would not go through the city gate when they came to the base. They would come directly from the sky. These 3 people were obviously not outsiders. Thinking of this, a soldier said loudly, "We can let you in, but you have to be tested for the virus." Emosher nodded. Okay. Then, under the heavy protection of the soldiers, Emosher and the other 2 were let in. They passed by a house inside the city wall. After a few scans, Emosher and the others' bodies did not show any abnormalities. Only then did they let them in. Emosher was worried that the night ghost spirit in his hand would be detected by the scan. That would be troublesome. In the end, it was not. Then, the leading soldier led them to the residence in the city. This was a place specially arranged to take in refugees. Emosher said that he was hungry and wanted to eat something first. The soldier said, "All the canteens in the refugee shelter have food before midnight." Emosher shook his head. "I smell the aroma of barbecued meat. Is there a bonfire party here?" The soldier frowned slightly. "You almost died outside. Now that you have a bite to eat, you should be thanking the heavens and earth. You still want to ask?" However, when he turned around to look at Emosher and the other 2, he saw Emma and her son, who seemed to have no intelligence at all. He could not help but feel pity in his heart. In the end, he nodded. "Okay, I'll take you to the bonfire party. But go back to your residence after eating. Don't cause any trouble, or you'll implicate me, understand?" Emosher smiled and nodded. "Don't worry, I just want a bite of barbecued meat." More than 10 minutes later, Emosher and the others arrived at the bonfire party. There were more than 300 people at the scene. The meat of more than 20 animals was being roasted on the rack. On the iron plate next to it, there was a large piece of barbecued meat. Although they did not know what kind of meat it was, since these natives could eat it, Emosher and the others could also eat it. Emosher did not stand on ceremony. He walked over, picked up a plate, and started eating. Chapter 265. Emosher grabbed a roasted leg, and started to chew it with big bites. He didn't know what animal this meat was, but it was really fragrant. Ever since Emosher decided to go to the Flaming Origin continent, he had been using all his sign-in opportunities on the bloodline modification liquid and dragon blood. Therefore, it had been nearly half a year since he had eaten real roasted meat. Now that he was eating this fragrant roasted meat again, he felt that it was more fragrant than ever before. It was a pity that there was no beer. At this point, Emma had already taken a jar of wine and handed it to Immortal. Immortal looked at Emma in surprise. Emma also smiled at him. This Emma was getting better and better at reading his mind. Could it be that she had evolved from the worm in his stomach? With this thought, Immortal immediately had an image in his mind. How a roundworm wriggled in his body. Then it slowly evolved and finally became this sexy and seductive Emma. Sigh, it's a little disgusting. Immortal suddenly felt that the roasted meat in his mouth didn't seem to be very fragrant. If Emma knew that in her master's imagination, she had become a roundworm wriggling in his stomach, who knew how she would feel? Of course, this was only a strange thought in Immortal's mind. When he shook his head and shook these strange thoughts out of his mind, he felt very comfortable. After all, with a beauty beside him handing him wine, any man would feel very comfortable. The men around them saw how sexy Emma was, and a few of them were bold enough to come over and strike up a conversation. But when they saw Emma take the initiative to give Immortal wine, they all gave up on this idea. In their opinion, this was a family of three. Emma took care of Immortal, then turned to take care of her son. Her son didn't seem to be very intelligent in other aspects. But when it came to eating, he seemed to be very talented. He seemed to be able to eat better than anyone else. So much so that now, her 11-year-old son's weight had already reached more than 90 kilograms. He was almost the same as Emma. The people in this city had their own way of dealing with the night ghosts. The night ghosts were most afraid of light and didn't dare to come out during the day. At night, the entire city was lit up. Therefore, the night ghosts did not dare to attack the city at night. For the people in the city, the biggest natural enemy was actually those who called themselves scavenger hunters. The strongest among the locals was only a level 10 great hunter. Any one of these hunters could easily crush a level 10 great hunter. However, the people from other planets usually came to the city to rest during the day. At night, they would go out to hunt the night ghosts. Therefore, the natives were the most relaxed at night. Gradually, it was around 10 o'clock at night. Immortal was enjoying his meal. As for Emma, she did not eat. To the vampires, human food wasn't very tasty. Especially cooked food. However, at this moment, in the sky, several blue and white rays of light suddenly flew over from the distant horizon. The city guards immediately sounded the alarm. Outsider, outsider, outsider. Important things had to be said thrice. Every time an outsider appeared, it was basically a disaster for the city. Think about it, if a hunter broke into the nest of his prey, what good things could happen? Seeing this, the natives' eyes were filled with deep fear. They hurriedly got up and scattered in all directions. To them, these outsiders were demons. Only Immortal was still sitting there, holding the leg of an unknown animal and gnawing on it with relish. At this moment, one of the fastest natives suddenly fell to the ground and stopped moving. Then, bang, 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 more than 10 of the fastest running aborigines fell to the ground one after another, not making a sound. In the sky, the blue and white rays of light gradually approached. A dignified voice ordered, "Whoever dares to escape will die." The rest of the aborigines were all scared out of their wits. Psychokinesis didn't exist on the night ghost planet. Therefore, the scene just now was incomprehensible to them. It could only be explained by ghosts. At this moment, the balls of light were even closer. Only then did everyone see that they were 5 outsiders. 4 men and 1 woman. The leader of the group was a handsome young man with a harmless smile on his face. He said to the natives, "We've been killing ourselves outside. We're just tired from killing monsters outside, so we're here to rest tonight. If you serve us well, we'll kill fewer people. Otherwise, we'll slaughter your city." He still had that harmless smile on his face. His tone was as relaxed and normal as if he was chatting about daily life. However, to the natives, it sounded like the voice of a demon. At this moment, "Rip, an invisible force tore off one of the natives' arms. Blood splattered everywhere. The natives screamed in pain. Ah, the natives didn't even have time to react. Rip, another native's leg was torn off. Ah, the native's face was also pale. His face was contorted as he screamed in pain. The rest of the natives were all scared out of their wits. In the sky, the eyes of the other 4 people were focused on a young man in his 20s. The young man's face was fair and clean, and his clothes were neat and tidy. He looked like a refined scholar from ancient times. However, he was the one who tore off the arms and legs of the 2 natives with his telekinesis. The fair-skinned young man smiled when he saw the other 4 looking at him. Sorry, I couldn't help it. The other 4 people were speechless. The leader said, If we want to kill them, we'll kill them when we leave tomorrow. If we kill them all now, who will serve us? The fair-skinned young man nodded. Yes, you're right. It's just that I haven't killed anyone in a long time. My hands are itching. Before he finished speaking, his telekinesis spread out again. Rip, another dozen or so people's arms and legs were torn apart and thrown far away. The scene was suddenly filled with wails and howls. This made the others shake their heads. However, that was all. Everyone had a dark side in their hearts. When they came to the hunting ground, the dark side in their hearts was infinitely magnified. After all, in their eyes, these natives were just prey that they could kill whenever they wanted. This fair-skinned young man was a level 1 telekinesis master. He had been cultivating for more than 10 years, but he was still at level 1. Usually, he wasn't treated well in his family. He was also often bullied outside. Now that he was in the first hunting ground, the demon in his heart seemed to have awakened. Previously, when he was killing the night ghosts, he killed the most. However, he still felt very unhappy. Killing night ghosts was not as satisfying as killing people. Now that he was in this city, he naturally wanted to kill without restraint. At this moment, his telekinesis detected that among these people, there was one person who was different from the rest. Chapter 266. That fair-skinned young man scanned the scene with his telekinesis. He caught sight of a person. Everyone else was in a state of panic. But there was only one person. He was still sitting on the stone bench, holding a piece of barbecued meat and eating it in big bites. His mouth was full of oil. It was as if everything that was happening in front of him had nothing to do with him. That fair-skinned young man suddenly frowned. Usually, his brothers and sisters in the family had been showing off in front of him. After leaving the family, he always met other people showing off in front of him. Now that he had finally come to the first hunting ground, even an indigenous person dared to show off in front of him. Damn it! He cursed in his heart. His face was slightly ferocious. Split open. With a roar in his heart, he attacked Immortal with his telekinesis. He wanted to tear this indigenous person apart in the cruelest way. Instead of tearing him into 2 halves, he was tearing off strips of flesh from his body. Let him watch helplessly as the flesh on his body was torn clean. However, when his telekinesis enveloped Immortal and tore at Immortal's body, suddenly, his brows furrowed tightly. Because he found that his telekinesis could not tear this guy's body apart. How was this possible? As a level 1 psychic master, he could easily tear apart any level 1 hunter, except for level 2 hunters, he could easily tear apart any level 1 hunter. Could it be that this aborigine had reached level 2 or above? What a joke. Thinking of this, he condensed all his telekinesis on Immortal's body. With a move of his telekinesis, he tore at Immortal again. However, Immortal still did not move. He lowered his head and continued to eat the piece of meat. It seemed that the more he ate, the more delicious it was. That fair-skinned young man tried again for a while, and a look of horror began to appear on his face. The rest of the people also noticed that something was wrong from this fair-skinned young man's face. They followed his gaze and saw Immortal, who was eating meat as if nothing had happened. They also felt a chill in their hearts. There's something strange about this indigenous person. Be careful. A scavenger scolded, who cares what kind of weird thing it is? Can it withstand my energy weapon? As he spoke, he condensed an energy weapon on his right arm. When the natives saw that guy condense an energy weapon, their expressions changed greatly. They had seen the outsiders condense such weapons before. The destructive power of this weapon was extremely strong. Basically, a single sweep could kill a large number of them. No, God, please, let us go. We know our wrongs, we really know our wrongs. We only beg you to let us go. The natives begged one after another. At this moment, Emosher finally finished eating. He took a towel that was specially used to wipe his hands and wiped his hands clean. Then, he looked up at the 5 people in the air. The next moment, he suddenly leaped. His figure instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the air. His right hand clenched into a fist and smashed towards the head of the energy martial artist. Poof! The young man's head instantly exploded. His body was sent flying by the huge impact. Like a stone, he was thrown more than 300 meters away. When the other 4 outsiders saw this, their expressions changed drastically. Was this person a devil? With only his physical strength, he had killed a level 1 hunter with 1 punch. Not good, fight! The leader hurriedly shouted. At the same time, he said to the fair-skinned youth, use telekinesis to restrict him. He knew that it was impossible for the fair-skinned youth to use telekinesis to kill Emosher. If it was possible, with the fair-skinned youth's character, he would have done it long ago. Since he couldn't kill him, he could at least restrict his speed. However, he was obviously wrong. The fear in the fair-skinned youth's heart was far greater than the others. Because no matter how he used telekinesis to control this guy, it didn't have the slightest effect. This guy seemed to not be afraid of telekinesis at all. The next moment, Emosher had already arrived behind another level 1 scavenger. His knee hit the man's lower back hard. Crack! The man's lumbar spine was directly broken. His entire upper body folded together with his legs. It looked extremely terrifying. Among the remaining 3, the psychic master turned around and was about to escape. However, Emosher's fist had already landed on his body. Puff! The psychic master's physical strength was too weak. Emosher's fist directly passed through the guy's back and came out of his chest. Then, he turned around. 2 kicks flew out. Crack! Crack! The remaining 2 people were also easily killed by him. At this point, these 5 outsiders. In just 5 seconds, they were killed by Emosher. What was even more terrifying was that he didn't even use a trace of energy. He killed these 5 people completely with his physical strength. If this matter was known by other people on the continent, it would probably cause an uproar. At this time, Emosher had already received a notification in his mind. After killing these 5 people, he obtained another 5 drops of Titan Dragon blood. The reason why he didn't use telekinesis to kill these 5 people was because of this. Although 5 drops of giant dragon blood were insignificant to him now, Linley still had a lot of giant dragon blood left. But little drops make a mickle. No matter how much there was, it was accumulated drop by drop. After killing these 5 people, Emosher's heart didn't have any ripples, as if he had crushed 5 ants. He secretly said in his heart, it won't be like the plot of those melodramatic novels where after killing a few guys, it immediately attracted their elders, then the ancestors, and then some other forces. Fortunately, he knew from the memories of these 5 people that 4 of them didn't have any powerful family elders. The only one with a powerful elder was that psychic master. However, he had already run away from home for 5 or 6 years. Even if he died, his family elders might not know. Even if they knew, they wouldn't come all the way to avenge him. Thinking of this, Emosher was relieved. He said to Emma, "You've eaten, go back to sleep." Emma nodded. "Yes, master." At this time, those natives' jaws were about to drop. They didn't come back to their senses for a long time. As far as they knew, the Aborigines were basically unable to withstand a single blow from those outsiders. But this native was too ferocious. He didn't even use a genetic weapon, he just used his physical strength to kill those 5 people with one punch. This was definitely a natural-born god's strength. Thinking of this, one of them couldn't help but kneel on the ground and worship Emosure. With him bowing, the others followed suit and bowed to the ground one after another like dominoes. "Thank you, hero, for saving our city. If it wasn't for you, we probably wouldn't be able to see the light of day tomorrow. Thank you, hero. Thank you, hero." Emosure waved his hand casually. "I just didn't want to be disturbed by them." As he spoke, he took out 20 bottles of recovery medicine. "Give these recovery medicine to those who are injured." Chapter 267. After Emosure left, a 13-year-old child picked up a bottle of recovery potion that Emosure had just placed on the stone bench. He quickly came to the side of a pale-faced man whose arm had just been torn off. He said to the man, "Dad, this is recovery potion. Quick." Although he didn't know the specific effects of this recovery potion, since it was called recovery potion, it should be able to speed up the recovery of his father's wound. The one-armed man picked up the bottle of dark green potion with his left hand and looked at it for a moment. Finally, he gritted his teeth, opened his mouth, and drank all the green liquid in the bottle. Only a few seconds later, something magical happened. The flesh and blood on the wound of his broken arm began to wriggle. Gradually, muscle tissue, nerves, and even bones began to grow out of it. His broken arm was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just 5 minutes, it was as good as new. And there wasn't even a trace of a scar on the previous wound. The man looked at his newly grown arm in amazement, and tried to turn it twice, then swung it left and right, back and forth. Everything was no different from his previous arm. He was greatly surprised. When the others saw this, they were all pleasantly surprised. The effect of this potion is too magical. There's actually such a magical potion in the world. Is this holy water? Amidst the exclamations, the injured people all received the recovery potion. After taking it, their bodies recovered in just a few minutes. This made them excited, and also filled them with gratitude toward Emosure and the others. That family of 3 is too mysterious. Not only mysterious, but also very powerful. We've worshipped God our whole lives, but God didn't care about us at all, and now we've been saved by Him. I think we should worship Him from now on. At this time, Emosure had already entered the dragon's den with Emma. He didn't expect these people to be grateful to him. The reason why he gave these people the recovery potion was only to repay them for the food they gave him. As for whether these people would be grateful to him or hate him later, he didn't care. In other words, even if these people pointed their weapons at him tomorrow, he wouldn't care. After so many years, he had already seen through human nature. In fact, the next morning, these people didn't point their weapons at him. On the contrary, the natives picked up their weapons and stood against each other. This was because the people who had taken the recovery potion last night not only had their bodies completely recovered, but after one night, their strength had also increased by 1 level. This made everyone's heart burn with passion. He hadn't used up all the recovery potions from last night. There were only a few bottles left. At this moment, all of them were trying to grab the last few bottles of recovery potion. Of course, they knew that Emosure had even more recovery potions on him. However, they did not dare to target Emosure, so they could only fight among themselves. It was almost noon the next day when Emosure and the others finally came out of the dragon cave. When Emosure found out that these people had actually started fighting amongst themselves over the recovery potion, he did not say anything, nor did he do anything. He was not surprised by this result. This was human nature. There was a bright side to human nature, but there was also an ugly side. It was impossible for him to change all of this by himself. Therefore, his code of conduct had always been to stay out of harm's way. As for what other people do, it has nothing to do with me. However, when these people saw Emoshur appear, they temporarily stopped fighting. They began to serve Emoshur with good food and drinks, hoping to get a few more bottles of recovery potion from Emoshur. However, Emoshur did not take out another bottle of recovery potion. In the evening, when the sun set behind the mountains, Emoshur took Emma and her son and left the city. As soon as Emoshur left, the city once again fell into a state of fighting. Emoshur did not know what kind of chaos this city would fall into after he left. He was not interested in knowing. He used his draconic will to investigate the area within 100 kilometers as he flew forward with Emma and her son. After flying for about 2 hours, Emoshur arrived at the mountain pass where the two mountains faced each other. According to the map, this place was called the Black Mountain Pass. After the Black Mountain Pass was the Death Swamp. In the Death Swamp, there were countless level 2 evolved night ghosts. At this moment, his draconic will swept across the Black Mountain Pass. At the entrance of Black Mountain, a group of hunters was chasing after 2 night ghosts. The 2 night ghosts were both level 2 evolved night ghosts. This team of hunters had 7 people, 5 men and 2 women. One of the women was the beautiful girl in front of Emma at the place where Emoshur and the others had bought the tickets. At this moment, they were chasing after the 2 night ghosts. They had already passed through Black Mountain Pass and entered the Death Swamp. Emoshur was slightly surprised. It was obvious that the 2 night ghosts had deliberately lured this group of people into the Death Swamp. According to his understanding, the intelligence of the night ghosts was at most equivalent to that of a 2- or 3-year-old child. How could they know the tactic of luring the enemy deep? When the 7 people chased the 2 night ghosts into the Death Swamp, the surrounding night ghosts did not immediately appear. They flew for another 2 minutes and covered a distance of more than 100 kilometers. Only then did they realize that something was wrong. They were surrounded by swamps. From time to time, the skeletons of animals could be seen in the swamp. Occasionally, they could even see human skulls. Someone suddenly realized something and was shocked. "Oh no, we've been tricked." The others were stunned and asked, "What's wrong?" That person looked around, then lowered his voice and said 4 words that made one's hair stand on end. "Death Swamp." Boom! It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck everyone's heart. "This is the Death Swamp? That's impossible. Weren't we very far from the Death Swamp before?" The beautiful girl was so shocked that her face turned pale. "Death Swamp? Oh no, the guide said that this place is full of level 2 hunters. It's a place even scarier than the Hell Wasteland." Seeing this, a rather masculine young man came to the beautiful girl's side. He said, "Don't worry, I'm here." The other girl said, "According to the guide, the Death Swamp is rated as level 10 on the Night Ghosts planet. Even level 10 hunters would have to take a detour if they came here." "Then what are we waiting for? Let's go." After reaching a consensus, everyone quickly turned their hoverboards around and flew toward the Black Mountain Pass. The hoverboards had a certain flying height limit. They could only fly up to a height of 100 meters. Therefore, they could not fly high enough to avoid the night ghosts below. They could only turn around and fly toward the Black Mountain Pass. Chapter 268. The 5 men and 2 women wanted to escape the Death Swamp. But soon, they were horrified to find that they were too naive. Hundreds of night ghosts had crawled out of the Death Swamp in front of them. Some of them even had a pair of demon-like wings and could fly in the air. It turned out that these night ghosts had lived in this swamp for tens of thousands of years. They had evolved wings to make it easier for them to travel in the swamp. Everyone panicked when they saw this. "What should we do? There are so many night ghosts and flying night ghosts. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no." In the midst of everyone's panicked cries, only the leader was clear-headed. "Quick, there aren't too many night ghosts in front. Activate your energy weapons and rush out. Otherwise, we won't have a chance." Everyone calmed down slightly after hearing his words. They quickly gathered their energy weapons. However, when they gathered their energy weapons, there were already more than 200 night ghosts in front of them. The dozen or so night ghosts in the lead were only 20 meters away from them. The leader shouted, "Wait for my order. 2 rounds of fire will kill them." However, before he could finish his sentence, those panicking team members had already shot out energy rays one after another. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, after a series of energy beams, more than 20 night ghosts fell into the swamp. The corpses of the night ghosts fell into the swamp and were completely submerged. However, there were still more than 100 night ghosts left. And these people were only level 1 and level 2 hunters. They could only fire their energy beams once or twice. The series of shots just now had already used up most of the energy in their bodies. At this moment, other than the leader and a muscular middle-aged man, the rest of the people felt their legs go weak. They felt like they were about to collapse on the hoverboard. It's over, it's really over this time. A pessimistic girl kept muttering. The rest of the people's hearts sank. This time, it was really over. Their faces were either filled with despair or unwillingness. Especially the pretty girl. She was already a level 2 hunter and was about to advance to level 3. Her father had said that as long as she advanced to level 3, he would let her manage one of the city squares in the family. But now that she was about to advance to level 3, she was going to die here. How could she accept this? However, now that things had come to this, even though she was unwilling, what could she do? However, at this moment, a night ghost's scream came from more than 500 meters away. Gah! Then, another sound was heard. Gah! Then, screams could be heard one after another. It sounded like the screams of the night ghosts as they were killed by some powerful creature. When the night ghosts that surrounded these people heard the screams, their eyes flashed with anger. They abandoned these people one after another and turned to fly in the direction of the mountain pass. The rest of the people were still in shock. The leading hunter quickly whispered, "Take advantage of this opportunity and rush out immediately." The others only regained their senses after being reminded by him. He quickly controlled the hoverboard and flew quickly in the direction of the Black Mountain Pass. At first, they avoided the night ghosts from afar. But gradually, they realized that the night ghosts were no longer paying any attention to them. They became bolder and flew towards the Black Mountain Pass at full speed. Gradually, they got closer to the mountain pass. However, they all reduced their speed. Because they saw that in the swamp not far from the Black Mountain Pass, hundreds of night ghosts were tightly surrounding 3 people. One of the 3 people was a child of 11 or 12 years old. Another was a woman in her 30s with an explosive figure. The third was a young man who looked to be in his 20s. The young man was dressed in black and looked somewhat mysterious. Facing hundreds of night ghosts around him, there was no fear on his face. Instead, he looked very calm. When the beautiful girl saw Mo and the other 2, she immediately remembered. She said, "I've seen them before." The others said, "What time is it? Escape is more important. Don't worry about them." "That's right, saving our own lives is more important." The leading young man said, "It seems that all the night ghosts are attacking them. Let's take the opportunity to escape immediately." Thus, they sped up and flew towards the mountain pass. However, they soon realized that something was wrong. There were hundreds of night ghosts surrounding the 3 people in front of them. However, there seemed to be a powerful invisible force that formed a spherical barrier with a diameter of 100 meters around the 3 people. Most of the night ghosts were blocked outside by the spherical barrier. Only 10 night ghosts were left inside. Everyone understood that there should be a psychic master among the 3 of them. However, wasn't it too risky for them to leave 10 night ghosts inside? 3 people against 10 night ghosts? That would be a suicide mission. However, in the next moment, the scene that occurred caused all of them to be dumbfounded. When the night ghosts pounced, the young man in black suddenly jumped up. He instantly reached a height of 1,000 meters. Then, he smashed down. Boom! He punched a night ghost in the head. The night ghost's head instantly exploded. Originally, even if the night ghost's head exploded, as long as the energy bubble in its abdomen didn't leak, it could still revive with its powerful self-healing ability. However, after his punch, the night ghost didn't revive after its head exploded. Everyone's hearts trembled. How was this possible? Then, Emosure punched and kicked again. In less than a minute, he killed 10 night ghosts. This scene caused the hearts and minds of everyone present to tremble. This is too fierce. He's fighting the night ghosts with his bare hands, and they're all killed instantly. How terrifying is his strength? He can kill these night ghosts without using any energy. I'm afraid even level 10 hunters can't do that. This guy is simply inhuman. The strangest thing is that when he smashed their heads with his fist, they didn't come back to life. At this moment, a tall young man beside the beautiful girl snorted. What's so strange about that? The girl beside them must be a psychic master. She suppressed the self-healing energy in the night ghosts. At this moment, the young man in the lead suggested an idea. They're so strong. Why don't we team up with them? As soon as he said this, the others nodded in agreement. I agree. If we team up with them, we can kill a lot of night ghosts too. Yeah, there's a powerful psychic barrier that separates the extra night ghosts. Only 10 night ghosts are allowed in at a time. If we team up with them, not only can we increase our combat experience, but we can also minimize the danger. Chapter 269. When the young man in the lead suggested this idea, the others immediately agreed. Therefore, the young man in the lead shouted at Emosure, who was fighting. Brother, do you need help? Why don't we form a team? Although Emosure had been fighting all this while, through the probing of his draconic sense, he had heard the conversation between these people clearly. How could they be so king shameless? You were attacked. My battle here attracted a large number of night ghosts, so you had to escape. When you saw me surrounded by night ghosts, you didn't have any intention of saving me. Instead, you wanted to escape as soon as possible. Now that you see me killing these night ghosts effortlessly, you want to join me and take advantage of me. This was the epitome of shamelessness. Thinking of this, Emosure ignored them. However, those people didn't give up. Someone said, brother, the more friends you have, the more options you have. Let's treat it as making friends. Yeah, we're all young people. Wouldn't it be faster to form a team to kill monsters? The beautiful girl's eyes lit up when she saw how easily Emosure killed the monsters. Although she was still very jealous of Emma's beauty, she could subconsciously ignore Emma. She said to Emosure, big brother, let's form a team together. Emosure still couldn't be bothered with them. He continued to kill the night ghosts. 1 punch for one, 2 drops of Titan dragon blood for each one. Seeing that Emosure ignored them, those people's expressions turned ugly. Someone said, ignore him. Let's get out first. Such a narrow-minded person will die sooner or later. Of course, they only said it in a low voice. The pretty girl pouted her lips and didn't lower her voice as she said, that's right. It's just killing a few night ghosts. What's the big deal? Tisk. With that, this group of people flew toward the Black Mountain Pass. However, after flying for 1,000 meters, they suddenly crashed into an even larger invisible barrier. Caught off guard, these 7 people were all knocked to the ground. Some of them even had sparks coming out of their hoverboards. They couldn't fly anymore. Everyone was shocked and angry. The psychic master suddenly turned his head and looked at Emma not far away. He shouted to the crowd, it's her, the great psychic master. At this moment, Emma, who had not moved all this while, flapped her wings and slowly rose into the air. He stared coldly at these people. Did Master say that he would let you go? Naturally, she had heard what these people were saying just now. She could tolerate these people slandering her, but she could not tolerate the slightest disrespect to her master. That was why he had created a telekinesis barrier to block their way. Emosure glanced at Emma, feeling more and more satisfied with her. Emma was like a roundworm in his stomach. As soon as he thought of something, Emma already knew what he was going to do. In fact, if Emma hadn't made a move just now, he would have. How could he let this group of shameless fellows go? Since Emma had made her move, he ignored her and continued to slaughter the night ghosts. Just now, his dragon's will had detected that these people had basically already used their energy weapons. There was almost no energy left in their bodies. The only two threats were the young man in the lead. He still had one energy ray that he hadn't used yet. The other was a level 2 telekinesis master. As a level 1 telekinesis master, Emma was difficult to deal with. But don't forget, Emma was also a level 1 evolved vampire. Moreover, after a few days of continuous fighting, her strength had increased very quickly. She had already reached the peak of level 1 evolution. She was about to evolve into a level 2 evolved vampire. At this moment, Emma turned her head and looked at Immortal. Immortal knew what he meant and only said 3 words. Don't worry. Emma nodded and gently stroked her son's head as she said softly, don't worry. Mommy is going to fight the bad guys. I'll be back soon. Then, she flapped her wings and flew out of Immortal's dragon's wool barrier. The surrounding night ghosts saw this woman come out and immediately pounced on her. But with Emma's telekinesis, these night ghosts were all pushed away. Emma was extremely fast as she flew towards the 7 people. Behind her, the night ghosts chased after Emma like crazy. From afar, she looked like a comet, dragging a long white tail behind it. Seeing this, the 7 people's expressions changed. This woman is crazy. Damn it, B*TCH. Run. This woman is a vampire, and she's a telekinesis master. Be careful. As the level 2 telekinesis master spoke, he hurriedly used his telekinesis to stop Emma. However, just as his telekinesis reached out of his body, he felt a huge wave of telekinesis pressing down on him. His telekinesis had no room to resist and was directly pressed back into his body. How is this possible? His face was pale as an extremely terrifying feeling rose in his heart. He could clearly feel that this woman was a level 1 telekinesis master. That was why he dared to face this woman with confidence. But this huge wave of telekinesis was not the telekinesis of a level 1 telekinesis master at all. Of course, he didn't know that it was Immortal who helped Emma just now. He used the dragon's will to suppress his telekinesis. Emma naturally knew this as well. At an extremely fast speed, the level 2 telekinesis master flew out. Seeing that he couldn't stop Emma, the level 2 telekinesis master hurriedly stepped on the hoverboard and tried to escape. However, under the obstruction of Emma's telekinesis, he couldn't fly at all. In the next moment, Emma had already flown in front of him. Then, she suddenly turned and attacked the others. Emma didn't need to do anything at all. The night ghosts behind Emma immediately swarmed forward. Almost instantly, they tore the level 2 telekinesis master into pieces. When the leader saw Emma being so violent, he hurriedly condensed an energy weapon. A red and white energy ray cut straight towards Emma's body. Emma's figure flashed. Although she avoided a fatal blow, one of her arms was directly cut off. However, Emma seemed to be fine at all. She continued to rush towards the leader. At this moment, the leader had no energy in his body, and his hoverboard shoes were restricted by Emma's telekinesis. He couldn't escape even if he wanted to. Finally, Emma flew above him. Her wings suddenly pierced out. The pair of sharp hooks on her wings directly pierced the young man's eyes. And it directly pierced through his eyes and out the back of his head. Ever since he followed Immortal, his fighting style of being scolded had gradually changed. When dealing with the enemy, it was as cruel as it could be. It was to let them know the consequences of being enemies with him. When the rest of the people saw how cruel this woman was, all of their faces turned pale. Who would have thought that such a woman who exuded a feminine aura from head to toe would be so valiant in battle? Chapter 270. After Emma killed the level 2 psychic master, the rest was much easier. These people had used energy beams just now and had used up all the energy in their bodies. Even if they attacked together, they were no match for Emma. In addition, Emma used her psychic power to restrict them, so they couldn't use their hoverboards to escape. Therefore, they were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered in front of Emma. Emma easily killed 6 of them. Only the last one was left, the prettiest girl. She was now looking at Emma in horror. Never in her wildest dreams would she have imagined that this sexy and beautiful woman would be so powerful. She was stronger and prettier than her. Were the heavens blind? How could such a woman exist in this world? But before she died, her gaze fell on Immortal. She suddenly realized something. A mysterious powerhouse. A few days ago, before she teamed up with these 6 people, she teamed up with the other 3. From the 3 of them, she heard that a mysterious powerhouse had appeared in the second hunting ground. That mysterious powerhouse had killed more than 10,000 night ghosts with just his fists. At that time, she didn't believe it and thought it was pure nonsense. How could someone kill so many night ghosts in one night with just his fists? And now, didn't this black-clothed youth kill these night ghosts with just 1 punch each? With this speed, it wasn't difficult to kill more than 10,000 night ghosts in one night. Knowing this point, the regret in her heart was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. She was so stupid. She should have known that he was the mysterious powerhouse. If that was the case, she wouldn't have mocked him. She wouldn't have died in the end. But now, it was too late for her to regret. Emma's sharp claws had already pierced her chest. Poof, she clearly heard the muffled sound of the claws piercing her chest. She clearly saw blood flowing down the woman's claws. Her consciousness finally dissipated completely. Emma glanced at the bright red blood gushing out of her chest. She licked her lips. She pulled out her claws and flew back into Immortal's dragon mind barrier. Although human blood was very tempting to her. But not sucking human blood was her bottom line. Even if this person was an enemy. Immortal continued to kill the night ghosts. In one night, they didn't manage to kill 10,000, only 3,000. But even so, it was still shocking enough. After all, these were not the level 1 evolved night ghosts of the Hell Wasteland. Instead, it was level 2. They were at least 10 times stronger than the level 1 night ghosts. In just one night, they had killed over 3,000 level 2 evolved night ghosts. Furthermore, all of them relied solely on their physical strength. If others knew about this, their eyeballs would probably fall out of their sockets. More than 3,000 level 2 evolved night ghosts were equivalent to more than 6,000 drops of dragon blood. On the second and third nights, Immortal also obtained more than 6,000 drops of dragon blood. When Immortal swallowed the 5,703rd drop of giant dragon blood, the familiar burning sensation in his body came again. His body temperature rose rapidly. Even Emma, who was beside him, could clearly feel Immortal's body temperature rising. Emma looked at Immortal in shock. Was Master going to advance again? While surprised, she quickly used her telekinesis to scan the surroundings and keep an eye out for Immortal. 5 minutes later, Immortal's body temperature finally returned to normal. At this moment, he looked at his stats interface. Name, Immortal, level 4 Scavenger, level 4 Long Nian Shi, Evolution Path, Titan Dragon. Immortal was overjoyed. He had finally advanced. In just 3 months on the Flaming Land, he had advanced 3 levels. On average, he had advanced 1 level per month. Who else could it be? And as long as he continued to hunt in this death swamp. He estimated that in half a month, at most 20 days, he would advance again. This speed of leveling was like riding a rocket. The second night after his advancement, Immortal brought Emma and her son deep into the swamp. At this moment, it was even easier for him to kill these night ghosts than last night. He didn't need to run or jump high at all. Casually and easily, he killed a child with 1 punch. Thus, Immortal killed more than 15,000 night ghosts that night. Each night ghost had 2 drops of Titan dragon blood. In one night, he had obtained more than 30,000 drops of Titan dragon blood. This speed was quite terrifying. After a night of killing, Emma finally leveled up. And it was a double level up. Level 2 Psychic Master and Level 2 Vampire. Emosure felt that at this speed, Emma should be able to advance to Level 3 Vampire before leaving the second hunting ground in 20 days. But the heavens didn't listen. That night, Emosure found that the number of night ghosts crawling out of the swamp had decreased. The second night, the number of night ghosts decreased again. The third night, after searching for half the night, he only found 3,000 night ghosts. Emosure shook his head helplessly. He could only blame himself for being too strong. These night ghosts were too scared to come out. Emosure could only continue to go deeper into the swamp. When the sky was about to brighten, he found that the number of night ghosts had increased again. This made his heart skip a beat. Based on his observations over the past few days, although these night ghosts weren't very intelligent, they still communicated with each other. When he displayed his tyrannical strength, the night ghosts in the swamp would probably know that a tyrannical human had appeared, so they wouldn't appear again at night. Now, a large number of night ghosts had suddenly appeared in front of him. There must be something wrong. But with Emosure's current strength, even if there was something wrong, he didn't have to worry at all. Anyway, with so many night ghosts gathered, there would be a large amount of Titan dragon blood. Gradually, the distance between them grew closer. He found that the place where the night ghosts were gathered was the mouth of a volcano. A volcano suddenly appeared in the death swamp. It was very abrupt. But Emosure had read the detailed guide on Planet Night Ghost before. He knew about this situation. The people who had come before had more or less figured out the situation on Planet Night Ghost. This volcano was the center of the death swamp. But the guide didn't say that there would be a large number of night ghosts gathered here. Emosure didn't care so much. He flapped his blood dragon wings and flew at a low altitude, killing the night ghosts with his fists. He had many trump cards anyway, and his biggest trump card was the sea dragon clone. What was there to be afraid of? The sea dragon clone had devoured too many dire beasts and should have leveled up long ago. But it was limited by Emosure's level, so it hadn't leveled up. Now that Emosure had become a level 4 hunter, the sea dragon clone was naturally promoted to a level 4 hunter. One had to know that in the entire Yuzhou, there were only a handful of level 4 hunters. So in this aspect, Emosure was already considered a top expert in Yuzhou. If such a top expert came to a mere second hunting ground and still had to be timid, wouldn't he be a laughingstock? Chapter 271. The volcano in the center of the death swamp was an extinct volcano. It was unknown how many years it had been cooling down. Now, there was no longer any heat in this place. The volcano was already covered with all kinds of plants. The volcano was about 300 meters tall. Under the pale green moonlight, it looked like a circular pyramid, standing in the middle of the desolate death swamp. The foot of the volcano was filled with night ghosts. The night ghosts seemed to treat the volcano as a treasure and guarded it. With this thought in mind, Emosure couldn't help but have a thought. Could there really be some kind of treasure in the night volcano? He used his draconic will to investigate the volcano again, but he still didn't find anything useful. Emosure shook his head. Whatever, I'll deal with these night ghosts first. Soon, Emosure landed on the ground. The ground within 50 kilometers of the volcano was no longer a swamp. Instead, it was solid ground. When Emosure landed on the ground, the night ghosts immediately let out strange roars. G-A-G-A-G-A-G-A-G-A-G, G-A-G-A-G-A-G-A-G, they bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they pounced towards Emosure. Emosure raised the dragon will barrier again and let in 20 night ghosts. Then there was a flurry of punches and kicks. In the blink of an eye, 17 night ghosts had been taken care of. Emma was now a level 2 evolved blood breed and a level 2 psychic master. The speed of the blood breeds and the sharpness of their claws combined with the telekinesis of a level 2 psychic master. She could also fight 1 against 3. By the time Immortal finished off the other 17 night ghosts, she had already killed 3 of them. Continuing to kill, Immortal had killed more than 10,000 night ghosts in half a night. On the second night, the number of night ghosts didn't decrease. Instead, it increased. Compared to when he had first arrived at Death Swamp, there were more night ghosts here. In just one night, Immortal had killed over 20,000 night ghosts. He had obtained more than 40,000 drops of Titan dragon blood. The harvest was 10,000 more drops than before. Following that, Immortal continued his killing spree for 6 consecutive nights. Since this was the hinterland of the swamp, no one came to disturb them. Plus, there were more night ghosts here than in other places. Therefore, Immortal was very satisfied with the results of the past 6 nights. If everything was like this, then he wouldn't even need half a month. He could probably level up 5 times in 10 days. Unfortunately, the heavens did not comply with his wishes. On the 7th day, the night ghosts began to flee. However, the direction in which they fled was not underground. Instead, it was at the mouth of the volcano. Hundreds and thousands of night ghosts rushed toward the crater. In the end, he disappeared from Immortal's sight. Immortal flapped his wings and observed the volcano from the sky. The sky gradually brightened. Looking from the sky, the crater of the volcano looked like the mouth of a huge monster that was about to swallow people whole. It was also like a huge eye, staring straight at the sky. Anyone who saw it would feel their hair stand on end. However, Immortal's current dragon will was already extremely powerful. He didn't find such things terrifying. He was just curious. The night ghosts were gathered here as if they were protecting something inside the volcano. Now that they were afraid of being killed, their first reaction was to escape into the volcano. It seemed that there must be something extraordinary in the volcano. He immediately moved his mind. The corpses of the night ghosts he killed last night quickly turned into flesh and blood. Then, under the control of Immortal's dragon will, they squirmed quickly. A moment later, 5 virus clones were formed. Each of these virus clones had the strength of a level 2 scavenger and a level 2 long niansher. Then, he ordered these clones to go to the volcano to investigate. These clones entered the volcano, and Immortal carefully observed the surroundings through their perspectives. At first, this place looked like any extinct volcano. After countless years, the crater here had long been blocked by rocks, mud, and volcanic ash. There was a thick layer of vegetation and towering trees on it. The thickest tree was about 7 meters in diameter. Gradually, as these virus clones went deeper, Immortal's investigation became more detailed. There were thousands of caves of various sizes at the bottom of the volcano. The largest of these caves was about 5 meters in diameter. The smaller ones could only allow 1 person to pass through. Immortal knew that the night ghosts had entered through these holes. He immediately controlled the virus clones to follow them into these holes. The path in the holes became more and more slanted as they went forward. They slanted all the way into the belly of the volcano. Following these roads, they walked for more than 300 meters in a zigzag manner. Hundreds and thousands of night ghosts appeared along the way. At this moment, Immortal used his dragon will to kill these night ghosts. Although killing a night ghost meant 2 less drops of dragon blood. But Immortal's most important task now was to find out what was inside before these clones were killed that was worth so many night ghosts protecting it with their lives. Finally, after killing hundreds of night ghosts, Immortal's 2 clones successfully arrived at the belly of the volcano. There was a huge cave here. The stone walls around the cave were fiery red. In the center of the cave, there was a magma pool with a diameter of only 20 meters. It seemed that after countless years, the magma had gradually cooled down and only this small magma pool was left. Around this magma pool were tens of thousands of night ghosts. Strangely enough, the night ghosts were afraid of everything except moonlight. But now that they were illuminated by the magma pool, they were not afraid. At the same time, in the center of these night ghosts, there was an irregular stone platform. On the stone platform, there was a special night ghost that was angrily staring at Imosher's two clones. This night ghost was bigger than the other night ghosts. It was more than 3 meters tall. On its forehead, there were two slightly curved horns that were about a foot long. Its eyes were different from the grayish-white of the other night ghosts. Instead, they were a strange red. It was like the red light of a robot's electronic eyes. Its bony body gave off a strange feeling of strength. Emosher looked at this night ghost and his heart skipped a beat. Was this the Night Ghost King? In the Flaming Continent, many scholars had mentioned the Night Ghost King in their papers. In their opinion, there would definitely be one or more kings among the billions of night ghosts on the Flaming Continent. They were known as the Night Ghost King, or Night Monarch for short. But this was just a guess. Until now, no one had seen the Night Monarch. Many people even thought that there was no Night Monarch on the Night Ghost planet. Today, Emosher was the first human to see the Night Monarch. He opened the Blood Dragon's eye and looked at the Night Monarch. Species, Night Ghost, Level 3 Evolution. When Emosher saw this, he understood why no one had ever seen the Night King. The second hunting grounds restriction was equivalent to a Level 2 hunter. No creature could surpass the level of a Level 2 hunter. And this Night Monarch had reached Level 3 Evolution, which was equivalent to a Level 3 hunter. It must be restricted by the rules of this world. Perhaps it could not leave this volcano. Or even if it left, it could not display Level 3 strength. Chapter 272. In fact, Emosher's guess was right. Although there was a restriction in the second hunting ground, no creature's strength could exceed a Level 2 hunter. But after tens of thousands of years, there were always accidents. Just like on Earth, the original restriction was that no creature's strength could exceed a Level 10 Great Hunter. But when Emosher's sea dragon clone appeared, it directly became a Level 10 Wild Beast. It was far beyond a Level 10 Great Hunter. Of course, Emosher was a cheat, so the Night King naturally couldn't be compared to Emosher. After tens of thousands of years, the Night King's strength had reached Level 3. But because of the restrictions of the world's rules, it also paid the price of freedom. It was cursed by a wizard in this world. Therefore, it could no longer leave this volcano. Of course, according to this world, it was cursed. In fact, according to the knowledge of the Flaming Continent, there was a scientific explanation. In this world, it was immortal, but it couldn't leave even a single step. Therefore, this volcano was equivalent to a permanent cage for it. This was why none of the cultivators on the Flaming Origin Continent had ever seen the Night Monarch. After being imprisoned here for tens of thousands of years, the Night King's resentment had reached its peak. At this moment, when it saw Emosher's two clones appear, its eyes were almost spitting fire. Why can't I leave? But any random cat or dog can enter and leave the volcano as they wish. In its extreme anger, it focused all its anger on Emosher's two clones. Because of its extreme anger, its body couldn't help but tremble. Its upper and lower lips turned up, revealing sharp teeth inside. The two rows of teeth kept colliding with each other at an extremely fast frequency. It let out a strange but angry roar. Ga. The sound was ear-piercing and hoarse. It was extremely uncomfortable to hear. The next moment, it waved its right hand. In the magma pool in front of it, two thick chains condensed from magma flew straight toward Emosher's two clones. Of the two clones of Emosher, one of them turned around and fled. As for the other doppelganger, it dodged the magma chain to the side. At the same time, he activated his dragon will and attacked the Night Monarch. The Night King let out a strange cackle as a huge wave of mind power surged out from his body. It directly clashed with the Level 2 draconic will of the clone. Boom! A shockwave immediately spread out in all directions. The surrounding night ghosts were sent flying by the two shockwaves. He crashed into the stone wall behind him. Most of the night ghosts had broken bones and tendons. Some of the night ghosts were bleeding from their heads and looked like they were about to die. However, in this volcano, they seemed to have some sort of enhancement. Moreover, it was a bonus in all aspects. Their self-healing speed was frighteningly fast. One of the night ghosts whose skulls had been smashed completely recovered in just half a minute. Mo, who was outside the volcano, was secretly surprised when he saw this. The Night King's telekinesis was actually able to contend with his own level 2 dragon will. In other words, its telekinesis was at least at the level of a level 4 psychic master. He had originally wanted to enter the volcano later and take care of all the night ghosts, including the Night King, with one punch. But now it seemed that for safety's sake, it was better not to go in. At this moment, the Night King saw that his telekinesis attack had not been able to kill this human. He could not help but fly into a rage. His eyes were about to spit out flames of anger. The originally calm magma pool in the center of the volcano was also churning like boiling water. It even churned up a magma pillar that was more than a meter tall. In the next moment, his telekinesis suddenly spread out. In Mo's perception, his telekinesis had actually soared by another level. He had reached level 5 psychic master. At the same time, its strength and speed also soared in a short period of time. Although its level was still a level 3 evolved night ghost. The speed and strength it displayed had already reached level 4. Mo frowned slightly. Was there no upper limit to this guy's realm? This time, his level 4 draconic will spread out directly. It instantly plundered the Night King's memories. Soon, he finished checking the Night King's memories. I see. From the Night King's memories, Mo saw that as long as it was in the volcano, its strength could be directly raised to the equivalent of a level 10 hunter. Its telekinesis could also be raised to the equivalent of a level 10 psychic master. It could be said that in the volcano, it was the god of this world. Understanding this point, the corners of Mo's mouth curled up. In that case, I'll destroy your volcano. Thinking of this, the aura on his body directly rose to the peak in an extremely short period of time. At the same time, the Titan Dragon Claw condensed on his right arm. Due to the increase in level, his Titan Dragon Claw also changed. On the claw hook of the Titan Dragon Claw, there was a faint trace of fiery red light circulating. Then, he abruptly leaped up. There was a loud roar. 1,000 meters away from the volcano crater, the Titan Dragon Claw slashed down diagonally towards the volcano. Whoosh! An invisible force was instantly released and slashed straight towards the 300-meter-tall volcano. It instantly sank into the volcano. It seemed to be still for a few seconds. In the next moment, the left half of the 300-meter-tall volcano actually slid diagonally to the left. After sliding for more than 10 meters, it finally began to collapse with a bang. Rumble, the earth moved. Rumble, the mountain shook. Emma's son was so scared that he quickly hugged her waist tightly. Emma covered her son's ears. Her beautiful eyes could not hide the shock in them. Although she had long known that her master's strength was powerful. But with this claw, the entire volcano was split open. This was really beyond her understanding. Rumble, rumble, huge rocks rolled down in all directions. The gigantic tree was smashed into the ground, causing it to emit cracking sounds. The left half of the volcano was like a sand sculpture, constantly sliding down. In the belly of the mountain, the night ghosts were constantly smashed into meat paste by the falling rocks. The Night King's expression also changed. He hurriedly used his telekinesis to prop up the large pieces of rock. He raised his head and looked at the falling rocks in the air, feeling a little complicated. He had been imprisoned here for tens of thousands of years, always hoping that the volcano would collapse. Now that it had finally collapsed, he could not be happy. Because it was obvious that there were strong enemies outside. And once the volcano collapsed, his strength would not be able to increase again. At most, he was a level 4 telekinesis master with the strength of a level 4 evolved night ghost. At the same time, he had to protect the magma pool from being destroyed. In the magma pool, there were volcanic crystals that were extremely important to him. It was precisely because of the volcanic crystals that his strength could continue to increase. Although the volcano was destroyed, the volcanic crystals could preserve his current strength. If the volcanic crystals were destroyed, his strength would fall below the limits of the night ghost planet. Chapter 273. It took more than 10 minutes for half of the volcano to completely collapse. Looking at the volcano again, Emosher's claw had cut off half of it. The remaining half of the volcano no longer had the momentum it had before. It looked a little funny. In the belly of the volcano, a pair of 8-meter-wide giant wings grew out of the Night King's back. It flapped its wings and slowly rose into the air. Its pair of blood-red eyes revealed extreme indignation. This human had destroyed the volcano and its home. He had destroyed the thing that could raise its strength to a level 10 psychic master. How could it not be angry? Its eyes were about to spit fire. Because it was too angry, its wings kept trembling. At the same time, its lips turned up and down, revealing its sharp teeth. 2 rows of sharp teeth clashed at an extremely fast frequency, making a strange roar. Ga 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 ga. In the next moment, it moved. It suddenly turned around and instantly flew backward. Its speed was extremely fast, 500 meters in a second. In just 10 seconds, it flew 5,000 meters. Emosher was stunned. Next to him, Emma was also stunned. It ran away. It had made such a big scene, but it turned around and ran away. Did it have any shame? Actually, the Night King couldn't be blamed for being shameless. Emosher was really too strong. Although the Night King's IQ wasn't as high as a human's, it wasn't much worse. This human could destroy the entire volcano with a single claw. Wouldn't it be sending itself to death if it fought with this human again? Moreover, the 2 humans that had entered the volcano before were obviously clones that this human had used some method to condense. Just the 2 clones' telekinesis could compete with the telekinesis of a level 4 psychic master. This showed how strong this guy's telekinesis was. Under such circumstances, what else could it wait for? Seeing this, Emosher smiled and shook his head. The level 4 dragons will spread out. Rip, it directly tore the Night King into pieces. He also used the dragon's will to suppress its cells so that it couldn't heal itself. At this point, the Night King that had lived on the Night Ghost planet for tens of thousands of years was finally killed. Emosher was hoping that the Night King would drop something like a Night Ghost spirit. Who would have thought that the Night King's body would be completely empty? Not even a fart had been released. System, check in for a special event. Emosher no longer hesitated and spoke directly. Killing the Night King was definitely a special event. Sign-in successful. Sign-in event, kill the Night King, sign-in reward, 1 servant of the Night King. The next moment, a small character model appeared in his backpack. Take out the character model. Above the character model, a burst of flames burned. As the flames burned, its entire body quickly transformed into the body of the Night King. A moment later, a Night King that looked exactly like the Night King appeared in front of Emosher. The Night King bowed to Emosher and spoke respectfully in human language. Master, the Night King is at your service. Emosher used the Blood Dragon's eye to look at the Night Monarch. Species, Night Ghost, Level 4 Psychic Master, Level 4 Evolved Night Ghost. A gratified smile appeared on Emosher's face. At present, the base lacked scavenger hunters. This Night Ghost was a Level 4 Psychic Master and a Level 4 Evolved Night Ghost. Its strength could definitely crush a Level 5 hunter. Now, other than himself, Emma and the Night King were both above the level of a hunter. Finally, they were barely passable. Emma, who was beside him, was naturally very surprised. It was barely acceptable for her master to conjure something out of thin air. But to conjure a subordinate out of thin air, this was too much. Emosher said to the Night King. The thing in the volcano's magma pool should be quite helpful to you. Go and take it out. With Emosher's strength, although he could enter the magma pool, it would be quite troublesome. And this Night King was very familiar with the various attributes of the magma, so it was best to let him go. The Night King quickly flew into the volcanic ruins. In less than a moment, he flew back again. He was already holding a fist-sized crystal in his hand. The crystal was fiery red, and there seemed to be fiery red light flowing inside. This was the volcanic crystal. Mosher knew from the Night King's memories that this volcanic crystal had two major uses. First, it could increase the strength and speed of night ghosts within a radius of 10 kilometers by 50%. Second, it could accelerate the growth of the night ghost spirit seed within a radius of 10 kilometers. Originally, the night ghost spirit seed needed a year to grow into a night ghost spirit. But now, with the night ghost spirit seed, it would definitely grow into a night ghost spirit in 3 months to half a year. Other than its effect on other night ghosts, it also had another effect on the Night King. Within a radius of 10 kilometers, it could temporarily increase the Night King's strength. It could make him a level 10 hunter and a level 10 psychic master. Mosher originally thought that the biggest gain from this trip to the second hunting ground was the increase in his level. He didn't expect that other than the increase in level, he would also gain many benefits. This trip was not in vain. Imagining that the base's strength would increase tremendously in half a year at most, Mosher was overjoyed. At this moment, in the volcanic ruins, the night ghosts saw that the Night King was dead and the volcanic crystal had been taken away. Each and every one of them was filled with despair and fear. They hurriedly fled in all directions. Mosher didn't give them any chance to escape. He directly surrounded them with his dragon will and killed them one by one with a punch. By the time the sun rose the next day, he had killed more than 3,000 night ghosts. Finally, all the night ghosts in the Death Swamp were afraid of Mosher. That night, not a single night ghost appeared. Mosher was a little speechless. He asked the Night King next to him. "Can you get them all to come out?" The Night King nodded. "Yes, Master." With that, the Night King plunged into the swamp. About half an hour later, the Night King emerged from the ground. At the same time, thousands of night ghosts appeared around Mosher. Seeing this, Mosher was overjoyed. He said to the Night King, "Let them attack me." The Night King was a servant that Mosher had signed in from the system. He naturally had no objections to Mosher's words. A voice that was full of vigor but also very strange came from his throat. "Ga ga ga ga," those night ghosts were very afraid of Mosher. But their innate fear of the Night King was 100 times greater than their fear of Mosher. Therefore, under the Night King's order, they could only bite the bullet and attack Mosher. Mosher once again went on a killing spree. In one night, he killed more than 15,000 night ghosts. For the next half a month, he killed night ghosts in the Death Swamp every night. Every night, he would obtain more than 30,000 drops of dragon blood. Finally, on this night, after consuming the blood of the Wyrms, his body began to heat up again. Chapter 274. It had been more than 20 days since Mosher had arrived at the second hunting ground. On this day, his body finally felt the burning sensation that he felt before leveling up. After consuming another drop of dragon blood, his body temperature soared rapidly. Soon, it reached a level that Mosher could not bear. Just like the previous times, the high temperature lasted for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, his body temperature began to drop. He looked at his attribute interface again. Name, Mosher, level 5 hunter, level 4 Long Nian Shi, evolution path, Titan Dragon. Mosher was in a good mood. He had leveled up 3 times in less than a month in the second hunting ground. Who else could have done it? Since the establishment of the second hunting ground, such a thing had never happened before. In less than a month, he had leveled up 3 times. Mosher began to look forward to the future. Now that he had mastered all his transformation skills, he only lacked the wings and tail to become a dragon. If he were to become a desolate hunter, would he be able to repair his wings and tail? When he could transform into a dragon, how strong would his attack be? At the same time, on a grassland more than 50,000 kilometers away from the death swamp, two groups of people were chasing 5 night ghosts. Damn it, why is this guy so difficult to deal with? We have been chasing it for an entire night. Can't it understand that we are dying? A scavenger said angrily. Another hunter said while panting, nonsense. Nonsense, do you think the night ghost spirit is so easy to obtain? He has the night ghost spirit. Even if the energy in the energy bubble is depleted, it can quickly recover. Of course it is difficult to deal with. I have finally seen the power of the night ghost spirit. The other group of people shouted. We have 2 groups of people, but only one night ghost spirit. Even if we get it, we can't split it. Are you stupid? No matter what, let's get the night ghost spirit first. As for how to split it, that will be after we kill this night ghost. After saying that, the 2 groups of people blocked the night ghosts from 2 different directions. They condensed their genetic weapons and attacked. The night ghosts were instantly killed. Soon, the night ghost that possessed the night ghost spirit was resurrected. He quickly fled into the distance. These people wanted to stop the night ghost. However, after chasing for half a night, the energy in their bodies was almost depleted. He didn't dare to use his energy casually anymore. He could only watch as the night ghost escaped. Moments later, 4 or 5 more night ghosts appeared and protected this night ghost as they fled. This night ghost with the night ghost spirit seemed to have some kind of attraction. Along the way, other night ghosts came to protect it. This gave everyone a headache. They couldn't kill him, nor could they catch him. This made people feel that it was too kept up. However, a night ghost spirit was enough to nurture a desolate hunter. One had to know that a desolate hunter was able to establish a sect and establish a powerful force. Under this huge temptation, they could only continue forward and chase after the night ghost. The night ghost that possessed the night ghost spirit was running towards the northwest. That was the direction of the death swamp. It knew that the Night King was in the death swamp. As long as it reached the Night King, the powerful Night King would be able to kill these despicable humans. At this time, after Immortal had advanced to level 5, he knew that he had killed most of the night ghosts in the death swamp. He left the death swamp and planned to find the next gathering place of the night ghosts. One ticket allowed him to stay in the second hunting ground for a month. He wanted to kill as many night ghosts as possible before the time limit was up. At the same time, the 2 groups of people chasing after the night ghosts attracted a few other groups of people. They saw that the night ghost with the night ghost spirit was bigger than the average night ghost. It had 2 horns on its head and barbs on its back. They also remembered the legend from before. It was said that decades ago, the desolate hunter who obtained the night ghost spirit said that night ghosts with the night ghost spirit could transform. After transforming, they would have 2 horns on their head and barbs on their back. Thinking of this, everyone became excited. They also joined the ranks of the people chasing after this night ghost. At first, they were very excited. With their energy weapons, they could easily kill this night ghost. But soon, their expressions darkened. Every time the night ghost was killed, it would recover as quickly as possible. Then it would stand up and continue to run for its life. Was a night ghost with the night ghost spirit so difficult to kill? Even a few level 1 and level 2 telekinesis masters couldn't kill the night ghost at the cellular level with their telekinesis. With its cellular recovery speed, I'm afraid only a level 5 psychic master and above can kill it. In fact, it was just as the level 2 psychic master said. Immortal had been able to kill the night ghost with the night ghost spirit because of his level 4 dragon will, which was equivalent to the psychic power of a level 8 psychic master. He seemed to have killed the night ghost with his sharp claws. At the same time, his dragon will had also killed all of the night ghost's cells at the cellular level. This prevented it from coming back to life. At this time, the level 1 and level 2 Long Nianshi could not do anything to this night ghost. Gradually, the other factions also noticed the night ghost and joined in the hunt for the night ghost. Just as they were approaching the death swamp, That third young Master Cheng and his 4 bodyguards also appeared. Third young Master Cheng had just killed a few level 1 wild beasts and was resting. He was holding a piece of compressed biscuit in his hand. He complained as he ate. I haven't eaten properly for almost a month. All I eat is this brick-like stuff. I'm going to throw up. The person next to him advised, Third young Master, this is the reason why Master sent you here. I guarantee that if you encounter a similar situation in the future, you can at least last a few days. Tisk, third young Master Cheng sneered and was about to speak. At this time, he saw more than 70 people chasing a night ghost in the direction of Black Mountain Pass. He saw that this night ghost looked different from a normal night ghost. Third young Master Cheng's 4 bodyguards immediately understood. A level 6 hunter quickly said, Third young Master, this night ghost has the night ghost spirit. Third young Master Cheng froze. Night ghost spirit? What do you mean? Another said, Third young Master, you may not know, but the night ghost spirit is something produced in the night ghost's body. It's extremely precious. After absorbing it, you can immediately become a hunter. Third young Master Cheng heard this and trembled. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Chapter 275. When third young Master Cheng heard the benefits of the night ghost spirit, he suddenly had an idea. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. When the others heard this, their eyes lit up. If they could get the night ghost spirit, their master would reward them handsomely when they returned. One of them even thought to himself, if I could get the night ghost spirit and become a desolate hunter immediately after absorbing it, how much effort would I have to put in? At that time, I would establish my own force and live a good life. Wouldn't it be better than being ordered around by others and being the bodyguard of this stupid young master? Hence, the 5 of them immediately chased after it. However, the night ghost had already reached the entrance of Black Mountain. It was about to enter the death swamp. Everyone was a little anxious. Hurry up. If it enters the death swamp, it will be troublesome. The death swamp is full of night ghosts. Even level 6 and 7 desolate hunters don't dare to enter casually. Third young Master Cheng saw this and laughed. He said, this night ghost belongs to the Qing family of Yuzhou. When everyone heard the words, Qing family of Yuzhou, they were all stunned. Finally, they stopped. Some of them were very unwilling. They had been chasing for half a night, but now they had to give it up. How could they be willing to accept this? If they could get the night ghost spirit, it was very likely that they would be able to transform from an ordinary level 1 or 2 desolate hunter to a desolate hunter. It would be easy for them to establish a sect. With their talent, this was the closest they could get to becoming a desolate hunter in their lives. If they lost it, there was a 99% chance that they would not get another chance. Now, they had to give it up. How could they be willing to accept this? However, so what if they were unwilling? Not to mention that there were so many people here, they might not be able to get the night ghost spirit. Even if they got it, they would not be able to become a desolate hunter immediately. If the people around third young Master Cheng made a move, they might not even have the chance to escape. Hence, these people could only give up the night ghost. The Qing family of Yuzhou was ranked 84th in the entire Yuzhou. It was a force with a real desolate hunter. They could not afford to offend them. Someone even flattered him. So it's young Master Cheng. Sorry for the disrespect. This night ghost spirit should belong to young Master Cheng. Even if we obtain the night ghost spirit, we won't be able to enjoy it. Since it's third young Master Cheng, what else is there to say? The night ghosts are yours. Being flattered by so many people, third young Master Cheng couldn't help but laugh. There was undisguised pride in his smile. Although he didn't like his old man very much. However, he had to admit that the name, Qing clan of Yuzhou province, was quite useful. He waved his hand and said, since everyone says so, it would be impolite for me to refuse. Later on, if you encounter any trouble in Yuzhou province, just report the name of Qing clan of Yuzhou province. Everyone was secretly delighted. getting a promise from third young Master Cheng was much more reliable than getting the night ghost spirit. Third young Master Cheng then said to the 4 bodyguards beside him, "You can start now." The 4 immediately nodded to each other. The level 4 psychic used his draconic will to wrap around the night ghost, restricting its movements. The other 3 level 6 hunters surrounded the night ghost from 3 different directions. Everyone was envious when they saw the night ghost's movements being restricted. However, they could only be envious. Third young Master Cheng's eyes were also shining. Soon, he would obtain a night ghost spirit, and in the near future, he would be promoted to a desolate hunter. When that time came, his old man wouldn't dare to scold him anymore. On the contrary, he would have to treat him with respect. As for his half-brother, let's see if he still dared to compete with him for the position of clan leader. Competing with a hunter for the position of clan leader was courting death. When he thought of this, a wild smile appeared on his face. However, at this moment, a scene that no one had expected occurred. A black figure suddenly appeared in front of the night ghost, much to everyone's surprise. At the same time, the black figure's right fist. It smashed into the night ghost's head. Bang! The night ghost's head exploded. Even the night ghost's body seemed to have been shaken by the impact and exploded. Strangely, the night ghost that had resurrected more than 10 times in the middle of the night couldn't be resurrected this time. At the same time, a crystal that emitted a weak white light appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The sudden appearance of this crystal, which was emitting a faint white light, made everyone present feel their mouths go dry. After all, this was something that could promote them to a hunter. After absorbing this thing, they wouldn't be able to advance even half a step. They would forever be a level 1 hunter. However, most of them had average talent. There might not be a level 5 hunter in their lifetime. Now, there was a chance for them to become a level 1 hunter. How could this not make them excited? Just as they were getting excited, the black figure reached out, picked up the crystal that emitted a weak white light, and inserted it into his right arm. Oh no, he took the night ghost spirit. Someone suddenly shouted. The others also reacted. Just now, they were only focused on the night ghost spirit that had just appeared. Stop, this belongs to third young Master Cheng. Someone suddenly shouted. You dare to snatch something that belongs to third young Master Cheng. This is third young Master Cheng of Yozhou's Cheng family. You dare to snatch something from him. Draw your sword. These people shouted one after another. Mo sure couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. He inserted the night ghost spirit into his left hand. The 2 night ghost spirits seemed to be very excited when they met. The light was even brighter than before. Third young Master Cheng frowned when he saw this. He had already recognized that the guy who took the night ghost spirit was the man beside the beauty when they bought the tickets. At this moment, Emma had already rushed over. Everyone glanced at Emma and didn't pay attention to her anymore. To these hunters, a night ghost spirit was much more valuable than any beautiful woman. Only third young Master Cheng's eyes lit up. With a kind smile, he said to Emma, "Beauty, you must have suffered a lot with him these days." Emma didn't pay attention to him. She stayed by Mo Shu's side like a loyal servant. The smile on third young Master Cheng's face disappeared, and he frowned again. When he looked at Mo Shu, his eyes were filled with anger. This woman ignored him, but she was so loyal to this man. This made him feel like he had lost face. Since that was the case, he would kill him. Thinking of this, he growled at the 4 bodyguards. Kill him. Chapter 276. The young master of the Cheng family had been coveting Emma for a long time. He had played with many women. He had long gotten tired of those innocent girls, mature ladies, and lawless. And in the past 6 months, he had discovered the benefits of mature women. Therefore, he had a soft spot for this type of woman. Although they had given birth before, those who had given birth were actually more attractive. When he had first arrived at the second hunting ground, he had wanted to kill Mo Shu and snatch the woman beside him. But at that time, his bodyguards had advised him not to do so. They had said that the purpose of coming here was to gain experience and not to cause any trouble. But now, this guy had dared to snatch his night ghost spirit. It gave him a reason. He would kill him and then take this woman for himself. Thinking of this, his eyes couldn't help but reveal a hint of anticipation. However, at this moment, the four powerhouses had solemn expressions. Even the level 4 psychic said in a low voice, "Young master, it's not good to make a move now. Let's contact the family." Hearing this, third young master Cheng was instantly enraged. This kid is at most a level 2 hunter. Can't you just kill him? What family? In his opinion, he didn't need to use the family's power for such a small matter. Wouldn't his father scold him to death? The level 4 psychic shook his head and said, "No, third young master, listen to me. He just killed this night ghost with the strength of a level 3 hunter with one punch with his bare hands." The people from the other forces heard the level 4 psychic's words. They all suddenly understood. Their attention just now was all on the night ghost spirit. They didn't care at all how the man in black killed the night ghost. Now that they heard the level 4 psychic's words, they remembered. Just now, the man in black really killed the night ghost with the strength of a level 3 hunter with his bare hands. Without using any energy, he killed the night ghost that they couldn't kill for half a night with his bare hands. This guy's physical strength was really terrifying. Hearing this, third young master Cheng was slightly surprised. But more than that, he complained, to be able to kill the night ghost with one punch with his physical strength. So, its real strength should be above a level 5 hunters. Why would a level 5 and above scavenger come to the second hunting ground? Are you bored out of your mind? What the level 4 psychic master said next shocked these people even more. Also, to be able to kill this night ghost at the cellular level, the level of telekinesis must be very low. In other words, there is at least a level 4 psychic master behind him. Everyone's heart trembled when they heard this. They couldn't help but turn to look at Emma, who hadn't paid much attention to her. There was no doubt that the level 4 psychic master was this woman. Third young master Cheng also looked at Emma. He had really underestimated this woman. However, sooner or later, he would make this woman submit to him. The level 4 psychic master then said to third young master Cheng. "So, third young master, it's best if you contact your family immediately. That way, you'll have a higher chance of getting those 2 night ghost spirits." His words were almost whispered into third young master Cheng's ear. Third young master Cheng stared blankly at the level 4 psychic master. The level 4 psychic master said, "When he inserted the night ghost spirit into his hand, I detected that he already had a night ghost spirit in his body. This is a serious matter. Third young master, please contact your family as soon as possible." Third young master Cheng immediately turned to look at Immortal. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. This brat had already gotten his hands on a night ghost spirit. Since he already had a night ghost spirit, he still wanted to steal my night ghost spirit. How preposterous. Thinking of this, his eyes were as sharp as an eagle's as he stared at Immortal. He said, "Return those 2 night ghost spirits to me." In his words, he actually considered the one that Immortal had previously obtained as belonging to the Cheng family. Immortal's gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on third young master Cheng. On what basis? Third young master Cheng raised his chin and said proudly, "On the basis of the name, Yozhou's Cheng family." Immortal sneered. Yozhou's Cheng family? That's nothing. As soon as he said this, everyone present was stunned. Was this guy crazy? The Yozhou's Cheng family was one of the top 100 forces in Yuzhou. He actually said that the Yozhou's Cheng family was nothing. It was as if he didn't want to live anymore. Third young master Cheng frowned when he saw this. "Brat, you have to think carefully. The Yozhou's Cheng family, bang." Before third young master Cheng could finish speaking, he heard a muffled sound. When he looked down, he saw a claw piercing his chest. The claw looked like a night ghost's claw, but it was fiery red. In its claws, there was a beating heart. In the next moment, the claw exerted a little force. Bang! That heart was instantly destroyed. Fresh blood and fragments splattered all over Third Young Master Cheng's face. Third Young Master Cheng's expression changed drastically. He quickly reached out to grab a bodyguard next to him and shouted, "Save me!" Before he could finish speaking, his entire body had already fallen to the ground. The bodyguard next to him also had a terrified look on his face. He did want to save Third Young Master Cheng just now. Not only him, but all the 4 bodyguards would be able to save Third Young Master Cheng in time with their strength. However, just as they were about to make a move, they realized that an invisible force had restrained them. The 4 of them could not even blink, let alone make a move. The 4 of them were extremely frightened. The one who felt it the most was the level 4 Psychic Master. As a level 4 Psychic Master, his psychic power was already very strong. However, in front of the other party's psychokinesis, he did not even have a chance to resist. The other party's psychic power was definitely above that of a level 5 Psychic Master. Thinking of this, he cursed himself in his heart. Damn it, why did he not notice this level 5 Psychic Master earlier? If he had known, he would have left this place even if he had to give up the night ghost spirit. However, it was all too late now. The moment Third Young Master Cheng collapsed, everyone was shocked. Were these people crazy? They dared to provoke the Yozhou's Cheng family. However, in the next moment, their shock turned into panic. This guy even dared to provoke the Cheng family and kill Third Young Master Cheng. What else did he not dare to do? Especially when Third Young Master Cheng's body slowly fell down. They saw the figure behind him. It was a huge figure that was about 3 meters tall. There were 2 horns on its head, and its body was covered in armor-like scales. There were spikes on its shoulders. Its entire body was fiery red. No one knew what kind of creature it was. However, this creature was able to kill Third Young Master Cheng without anyone noticing. It was definitely not weak. Thinking of this, these people did not dare to stay for even a second longer. They all wanted to turn around and escape. However, could they escape? Chapter 277. They wanted to escape, but could they? Previously, they had helped Third Young Master Cheng and asked Mo Shi to give up the night ghost spirit. Now that Third Young Master Cheng was dead, they wanted to leave just like that. One could imagine that if they returned to Yuzhou, the first thing they would do would be to look for the Cheng family. They would tell the Cheng family how they saw their men kill Third Young Master Cheng. They would use this to gain benefits. Mo Shi naturally would not let them go. However, Mo Shi was too lazy to deal with these people himself. He only used his dragon will to kill Third Young Master Cheng's 3 bodyguards. After that, he would leave everything to the Night King. Mo Shi wanted to see how strong he was. The Night King had the telekinesis of a level 4 Psychic Master and could restrict the movements of these people. He was also extremely fast. He could also drill in and out of the ground at will. In just over 40 seconds, he had killed all 70 people. Mo Shi nodded slightly. The Night Monarch's strength could be considered decent at the moment. A level 4 Psychic Master combined with a level 4 Evolved Night Ghost was enough to crush a level 5 Hunter. After killing all these people, Mo Shi used his draconic sense to carefully investigate the area. After making sure that there were no traces of his identity, he quickly left the Black Mountain Pass with Emma and the night ghosts. Of course, he knew that with the technology of the Flaming Land, the Cheng family of Yuzhou would find out sooner or later. However, if he could stall for as long as he could, he would stall for as long as possible. And don't forget that Mo Shi now had 2 night ghost spirits. After returning, he would be able to create 2 hunters. By then, would he be afraid of the Cheng family of Yuzhou? What a joke. Next, Mo Shi stayed in the second hunting ground for a few more days. He obtained tens of thousands of drops of giant dragon blood. After consuming it, he felt that the energy in his body was stronger than that of a level 10 hunter. Now, even if he did not use his dragon will, he could kill a level 10 hunter with just his energy. In other words, he was invincible below the hunter level. This time, his harvest on the second hunting island was not small. Finally, a month passed. Emosure put the Night King into his personal reservoir and brought Emma and her son back to the second hunting island. After a few hours of flying, they returned to base number 1. When Happy heard that Emosure had returned, he could not help but rush over in delight. As the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. After not seeing each other for a month, the two of them were naturally very close. Emma took the child and excused herself from Emosure. As for the Night King, Emosure also released him. The people in the base saw that Mr. Emo had brought the monster back. They were all a little fearful. They had seen mutated beasts, desolate beasts, vampires, zombies, and zombies on Earth. But he had never seen such a monster. However, when they saw that this monster treated Mr. Emo like a servant treating his master, they were all relieved. Emosure released the 10 night ghosts from his personal reservoir. He'd planted the seeds of the night ghost spirit in all 10 of them. Emosure took out the volcanic crystal and gave it to the Night King. He said, "Keep an eye on the volcanic crystal and them. After half a year, the night ghost spirit in their bodies will mature." The Night King replied respectfully. "Yes, Master." Emosure asked people to place the Night King and the 10 night ghosts in the basement. He told the Night King to tell Guojutao if he needed anything. The Night King accepted the order and quickly left. Then Emosure found Guojutao and said to him, "Choose 2 people. Choose 2 people. I have something here. After consuming it, you will be able to become a desolate hunter for a short period of time." Guojutao's eyes lit up when he heard this. Desolate hunter. He estimated that it would take him a few decades to reach this level. "Mr. Emo, look at me." Guojutao could not help but lick his lips and say embarrassedly. He was a little sissy to begin with, and his embarrassment made him look like a little girl. Emosure could not help but feel a chill. He quickly waved his hand. "Stop. Although you can become a desolate hunter in a short time after taking that thing, your strength will not be able to increase by even 1 level. So it's only suitable for those without talent." Guojutao thought for a moment and said, "Mr. Emo, I think I'm suitable. Although my talent is not bad and I might be able to become a 2nd or even 3rd level desolate hunter in the future, I'm now in charge of the entire base and have no time to cultivate." Emosure thought for a moment and said, "Everyone in the base is trying to improve their strength. You're the only one who's neglected your cultivation because you're in charge of so many things. Everyone in the base has seen your sacrifice for the base. In that case, I'll give you a night ghost spirit." After saying that, Emosure scratched his left palm with his right fingernail. 2 crystals emitting a faint white light appeared in his palm. He took out one of them and said to Guojutao, "This is the night ghost spirit. This is the night ghost spirit. After absorbing it, you can become a desolate hunter." Guojuhu nodded repeatedly. "Thank you, Mr. Emo," Emosure said, "go back and absorb it." "Yes, Mr. Emo." Guojutao held the night ghost spirit, thanked him repeatedly, and quickly left. 3 days later, Guojutao came to Emosure again. At this time, Guojutao's temperament had obviously changed. He had become more feminine. Her every movement exuded the charm of a woman. He even bowed to Emosure like a woman. Seeing this, Emosure was stupefied. Could it be that the night ghost spirit had the effect of changing gender? Emosure looked at Guojutao with the blood dragon's eye. Species, human, level 1 desolate hunter, talent, unawakened. Emosure was overjoyed. A real desolate hunter had finally appeared in the base. He knew that after becoming a desolate hunter, one would awaken their talent. Some people awakened their talent at level 1. Some people had to reach level 5 or even higher to awaken their talent. The earlier one awakened their talent, the higher the talent. Their future achievements would naturally be higher. Although Guo Jutao had not awakened his talent yet, Mo sure knew that with the help of the virtual dragon palace, it would not be long before he awakened his talent. Mo sure had a faint smile on his face as he asked, "How do you feel?" Guo Jutao lowered his head shyly. He acted like a girl and said, I feel like I finally have the feeling of being a real woman." Pfft, Mo sure almost spat out. "You didn't castrate yourself before absorbing the night ghost's spirit, did you?" Guo Jutao rolled his eyes at Mo sure and said, "Mr. Mo, you're so annoying. Mr. Mo, you're so annoying. Why would I do such a thing? It's just that after absorbing the night ghost's spirit, it's like I've completely released the nature of a woman. I feel like my body and mind are finally completely free. At this moment, I just want to say that it's good to be a woman." Mo sure, pfft. Chapter 278. After another 3 days, the second desolate hunter who had absorbed the night ghost spirit appeared. Now, in the base, the sea dragon clone had reached the strength of a level 3 evolved wild beast, which was equivalent to a level 3 desolate hunter. In addition, there were 2 desolate hunters who had taken the night ghost spirit. There were also nearly 20 cheetah mechs. Such high-end combat power was much stronger than the high-end combat power of some other forces. For example, the Qing family of Yuzhou, ranked 84th in Yuzhou, only had 1 desolate hunter in their family, and he was only a level 1 desolate hunter. They only had 10 mechs. Now, what the base lacked the most were mid-level and low-level combat power like desolate hunters. However, with the help of the virtual dragon palace, a large number of level 1 desolate hunters would appear in the near future. Now, Mo sure was already a level 5 desolate hunter. Next, he should consider looking for some level 5 desolate beasts to improve his strength. There were many infected creatures on the 5th hunting island that were equivalent to level 5 desolate beasts. However, Mo sure did not plan to go there for the time being. After fighting for a month, he had to take a break and adjust. Otherwise, if he continued to kill endlessly, how different would he be from a killing machine? So, he checked in at the base every day. He went to the beach to enjoy the breeze with Happy. When he was free, he farmed happily with Happy at Happy Farm. His days were comfortable. On the mainland, in Yuzhou, it was not comfortable at all. Because Yuzhou was the closest to the second hunting island on the mainland. Therefore, most of the people who went to the second hunting island were from Yuzhou. However, this time, among the more than 20 forces in Yuzhou, none of the people who went to the second hunting island returned. It was acceptable to have casualties in these hunting grounds. However, with so many forces going at once, and no one coming back, it was a big problem. Among them, the Qing family of Yuzhou, ranked 84th, was the most unhappy. In the Qing family of Yuzhou, the head of the family, Qing, was frowning as he looked at the 5 tickets that his subordinate had just brought back from the second hunting island. A subordinate next to him reported, "Master, we have sent drones to conduct a carpet search of the entire second hunting ground 5 times, but we did not find the young master and his 4 followers." Speaking of this, the subordinate's voice was slightly low. He said carefully, "According to our speculation, young master might have met with an accident." When the head of the Qing family heard this, his tone was filled with suppressed anger. "It's not an accident. It's murder. The 4 people protecting him are 3 level 6 scavenger and 1 level 4 psychic. With such strength, he was invincible in the entire second hunting ground. Who else can be stronger than them?" The subordinate's body trembled slightly as he replied, "This. Perhaps it could only be that mysterious expert." Mysterious expert? Qing's eyes narrowed. He looked at the subordinate and said, "Speak." The subordinate hurriedly replied, "Our drones have discovered a lot of night ghosts' corpses in Hell Wasteland and Death Swamp. Almost all of these corpses were killed with a single punch. And from the looks of it, he killed these night ghosts with only his physical strength. We asked around and heard that it was done by a mysterious expert. As for the true face of this mysterious expert, no one has seen it before. Ching's eyes flickered when he heard this. A moment later, his gaze suddenly focused. When did the mysterious expert appear? The subordinate replied, 31 St. March. A hint of ruthlessness flashed across Ching's eyes. Investigate everyone who entered the second hunting ground from the 1st to the 31st of March. The subordinate's heart skipped a beat. The second hunting ground had a lot of people to begin with. There were at least tens of thousands of people entering the hunting ground every day. Within a month, there were more than 300,000 people. It was extremely difficult to investigate. However, with the Ching family's influence, although it was difficult to investigate, it was not impossible. He hurriedly replied, yes, sir. Ching added, find me all the private detectives in Yuzhou province. The subordinate replied again, yes, sir. Hence, in the next few days, all the private detectives in Yuzhou swarmed into the second hunting ground. They spent more than 20 days before they finally found some DNA of Ching's third young master in the death swamp. According to their speculation, Ching was already dead. They narrowed down the scope of the murderer from 300,000 people to 30 people. These 30 people included Mo Shi, Emma, and the others. Ching looked at the information of these people from the projection screen. After a simple glance, he asked, is there anyone from the top 100 forces? The subordinate replied, no. Ching's gaze turned cold as he waved his hand. Catch all of them. I want to interrogate them personally. According to the laws of the Flaming Continent, private punishment was not allowed. Moreover, they only suspected these people and did not have any evidence at all. Therefore, Ching wanted to use private punishment to interrogate them directly. It was obvious how overbearing the Ching family was. Of course, the Ching family was not the only one. Almost all the top 100 forces had violated the laws of the continent to some extent. However, the enforcers would turn a blind eye to it. There was a saying that said, rules are for the weak. The strong did not need rules at all. The subordinate heard his master's words and hurriedly replied, yes, sir. Then, he quickly left. Ching looked at the distant mountains outside the window. His gaze was sharp and ruthless. How dare you touch my son? I'll bury your whole family with him. At the same time, Ching's eldest son, Ching Kun, and second son, Ching Peng, were also secretly discussing. The eldest son, Ching Kun, said in a low voice, second brother, that useless third brother actually died in the second hunting ground. This is so satisfying. The second son, Ching Peng, said, big brother, the heavens are helping me. Don't worry, I won't fight with you for the position of the head of the family. As long as you help me marry the two young ladies of the Su family, I'll enjoy the happiness of family in the future. When our old man passes away, the Ching family will be yours. The eldest son, Ching Kun, said, ha 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 ha, second brother, you really love beauties more than the country. The second son, Ching Peng, laughed. Big brother, everyone has their own preferences. You love the country, I prefer beauties. I don't understand the beauty of the country, how can you understand the beauty of the beauties? The eldest son, Ching Kun, nodded. That's true. When the time comes, we'll each take what we want. However, we still have to help father deal with the matter of that useless third brother. Only by finding the murderer and avenging him can we make father happy. The second son, Ching Peng, agreed. Big brother is right. When we go to catch the murderer tomorrow, let's go together. Let's go together. Chapter 279. It had been a month since Mo Shi came back from the second hunting ground. Mo Shi still didn't make a move these days. He just put the sea dragon clone in the sea near the first hunting island. The sea dragon clone was only a level 3 mutated wild beast. Based on his current strength, its limit should be a level 5 mutated wild beast. The sea dragon clone wandered in the nearby sea and devoured the wild beasts here. The wild beasts here were mostly level 1 to level 5. After the sea dragon clone devoured them, it gained very little. If he wanted to level up quickly, he had to go deeper into the sea. But Emo sure knew from the emails and messages of the Qing family in Yuzhou intercepted by Little Monk that the Qing family had confirmed a list of 30 suspects. It seemed that the Qing family would soon find him. So he postponed the plan of sending the sea dragon clone to the deep sea. Finally, another 3 days passed. Outsiders appeared on the first hunting island again. There were 10 of them. And they brought a flying mecha with them. This mecha was not in the form of a cheetah. It was in the form of a giant eagle. Its main function was aerial reconnaissance and aerial attack. The 10 people brought the giant eagle mecha to the sky above the first hunting island. They saw that the entire first hunting island was almost blood red. They were not surprised. A few months ago, someone said that the first hunting island was infected with some kind of virus. But what surprised them was that on the hunting island surrounded by blood red, there was not a trace of blood red around the factory in the central area. Most of it was green. Green vegetables, wheat, corn, and other crops were planted. There were also a few humans and many robots working in the fields. The man in the lead was the second young master of the Qing family, Qing Peng. He glanced at the green field below and then shouted loudly. "Mo sure, Emma, and his stupid son, get out here." In the fields below, the few people working looked up at the 10 people and the giant eagle mecha in the sky. Then they lowered their heads and continued to work in the fields. It was not the first time that outsiders had invaded the base. How could he ever return alive? In the base, there was Mr. Mo and 2 newly matured desolate hunters. At the very least, even if Mr. Mo and the 2 desolate hunters were not around, wouldn't they still be happy? Happy was not any weaker than a desolate hunter. They had been on the continent for quite some time now. He had some understanding of heaven's oracles. He knew how terrifying a heaven's oracle was. Absolute defense, ignores the opponent's level. Absolute destruction, ignoring the opponent's level. It could be said that Happy was the greatest killing weapon in the entire base. With these safeguards in place, what did they have to worry about? The 10 people in the sky were all stunned. Even if the other party's strength was very strong, he should at least pay attention to them, right? But now, he was being ignored. Chengpeng frowned and snorted coldly. It wasn't like they hadn't seen such a pretentious person before. However, no matter how pretentious he was, as long as he mentioned that he was from the Qing clan of Yuzhou, the Qing clan of Yuzhou, these people would immediately become like his grandsons, eager to lick his heels. Thinking of this, he cleared his throat and shouted, "Listen up, I'm Qing Peng, the second young master of Qing clan in Yuzhou province. Tell your island's Mo sure, Emma, and their stupid sons to come out immediately." When the people below heard this, they finally reacted. However, when Qing Peng saw their reactions, he had the urge to beat them up. They looked at each other, and the fire of gossip burned in their eyes. Sure enough, Emma was really Mr. Mo's woman. And that child was really their son. But why would their son be like that? Mr. Mo was a smart person, and Emma didn't look stupid either. It didn't seem to be hereditary. Qing Peng was about to go berserk when he saw these people's expressions. Several level 7 scavengers and a level 6 psychic master next to him said, "That's right. Second young master, these people don't know the rules, we have to teach them a lesson." Qing Peng looked at the virtual screen on his watch, the image of the woman called Emma. He nodded. Originally, he didn't want to use violence because of this woman. But since these people didn't know how to appreciate his kindness, he could only use violence. Thinking of this, he nodded slightly to the keyboard player beside him. The keyboard player immediately started to operate the keyboard on his waist. Soon, the wings of the giant eagle mech trembled. It was about to throw a bomb. This was the Qing clan's way of fighting. No matter what, the giant eagle mech first threw a round of bombs as a deterrent. However, the moment the giant eagle mech was activated, the fiery red light in its eyes suddenly extinguished. Then, it fell from the sky towards the ground. Everyone was stunned. "Keyboard player, what's going on?" The keyboard player was also dumbfounded. He didn't know what was going on either. It suddenly stopped working. He hurriedly danced his hands on the keyboard quickly. Just as the giant eagle mech was about to fall to the ground, it finally ejected a stream of particles again. It stabilized its body and slowly flew up. Everyone's expressions also became much better. However, the keyboard player's expression became even uglier. Others couldn't understand the meaning of the series of symbols on the screen. He, of course, couldn't understand it either. Because it was completely garbled. His computer had been hacked. Moreover, even a computer expert like him was at a loss of what to do. Amidst his shock, his 10 fingers danced rapidly in the air. In just half a minute, he had tried at least 10 ways to save himself after being hacked. However, every time he tried, it was as if he had sunk into a deeper swamp. He felt as if every step he was going to take was within the other party's expectations. The other party seemed to have set up a series of traps long ago, waiting for him to fall into them step by step, and he fell deeper and deeper. In the end, there was no longer even a trace of possibility of escaping. Finally, after a moment, he turned his head to look at Qingpeng. His lips trembled, and he said a fact that terrified everyone, "Second young master. Our mech has been hacked." When the people next to him heard this, their expressions changed drastically. "Protect the young master, run quickly." A level 7 hunter hurriedly shouted. However, as soon as he finished speaking, 2 energy rays instantly shot out from the falcon mech's wings. Swoosh swoosh, the level 7 hunter who spoke had his head pierced directly by the 2 energy rays. Even the level 6 psychic master behind him had his head pierced directly. When the rest of the people saw this, their expressions changed drastically. It was their falcon mech, but now it suddenly turned to attack them. How could they not be terrified? Run quickly. Run. Keyboard player, activate the self-destruct program. Chapter 280. It had been more than 300 years since the birth of mechas in the Flaming Land. The technology of mechas was very mature. In order to prevent the mechas from being hacked by people with ulterior motives, not only did they set up layers of firewalls, but every mecha was also equipped with a self-destruct program. Once the mecha was hijacked by other hackers, they could also activate the self-destruct program. This would prevent the mechas from attacking them in turn. Qingpeng and the others saw that it was too late to escape. Qingpeng hurriedly shouted to the keyboard player, "Activate the self-destruct program." The keyboard player hurriedly operated in a flurry. A moment later, after the mecha killed another level 7 hunter, the self-destruct program finally activated. The huge amount of energy contained in the mecha's hydrogen battery suddenly exploded. Boom, a huge shock wave immediately spread out in all directions. At the same time, in the base factory, the little monk suddenly became angry and cursed, F***ck. Give me 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes will do. As long as he was given 5 more minutes, he could even crack the self-destruct program. These bastards. A flying mech was perfectly fine, and they destroyed it just like that. Don't they feel sorry for it at all? If the people of the Qing family knew about this little monk, they would probably want to kill him. A mecha was worth hundreds of millions, who wouldn't feel sorry for it? But you controlled the mecha and wanted to kill us. What can we do? The little monk cursed for a full 5 minutes. After cursing, he wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth. He said, "Shirtai, Shirtai. Monks shouldn't be angry. Ba, it's good." As he spoke, he put his palms together and closed his eyes. It was as if he had entered a meditative state. But only 10 seconds later, he opened his eyes again. Anger rose in his eyes. But the more I think about it, the angrier I get. F***ck, this group of prodigal things, he continued to spit out fragrant words. At the same time, in the sky above the base, Qingpeng and the others had originally hoped that the huge power of the hydrogen battery explosion would cause great damage to the factory below. They could then take care of the people in the base. Even if it didn't cause great damage, it would cause chaos. They could take advantage of the chaos to escape. But the scene they saw made them unable to understand at all. The shockwave from the explosion of the mecha had just spread out to a diameter of 10 meters. However, it seemed to be suppressed by a powerful force. Flames, debris, and even the sound of explosions only spread within a radius of 10 meters. Anything beyond 10 meters would not be affected at all. Even the sound of an explosion could not be heard. They could only see some flames and thick smoke. Little did they know that this was the effect of the Virtual Dragon Palace's defense. The defense of the Virtual Dragon Palace could not only withstand external attacks, but it could also withstand attacks from enemies within the palace. F*CKU. Cheng Peng was shocked. What the hell is wrong with this hunting island number 1? Run! Run! Cheng Peng roared. He didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly fled outside. However, right at this moment, whoosh, a fiery red light pillar as thick as a thigh shot over in an instant. Cheng Peng didn't see the fiery red light beam coming. She felt a chill on her back and chest. Then, he saw a beam of light shoot out from his chest and continue forward. In an instant, he disappeared into the distance. He looked at his chest again. There was already a thigh-sized hole. At this moment, Cheng Peng's heart seemed to have fallen into a bottomless abyss. Panic was like a tidal wave, engulfing him from all directions. He was instantly drowned by this panic and could no longer struggle to get ashore. Save me, he placed his last hope on the people he brought with him. However, when those people saw this terrifying scene, they didn't dare to stay any longer. They stepped on their flying skateboards and flew away at a speed of 1 kilometer per second. A bunch of heartless bastards, Cheng Peng stepped on the flying skateboard and flew unsteadily while cursing. A big hole in the chest was not a rare thing in the Flaming Continent. With the physical strength of the Flaming Continent's scavengers and the medical technology of the Flaming Continent, they could completely recover. However, these people abandoned him and ran away. They usually ate, lived, and spent the Cheng family's food. Now that it was time to use them, they ran away without looking back. If he had a glimmer of hope to return to the Cheng family today, he would not let these bastards go. At this moment, the others were also extremely frightened. What kind of attack was this? It could blast such a big hole in a person's chest with just one hit. This hunting island number 1 was really terrifying. If they didn't run now, were they going to stay for the new year? Whoosh, another fiery red light beam hit the head of a level 7 scavenger. That level 7 scavenger's head exploded instantly. It was like opening a watermelon and putting in a powerful firecracker. Boom, the watermelon exploded instantly. Pieces of watermelon pulp and watermelon juice splashed out. Cheng Peng saw this and was both scared and happy. He was scared that this person's head would explode. If he didn't run quickly, he would follow in his footsteps. He was happy that he let you run away. Run again. Whoosh, 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 more than a dozen fiery red light beams shot out. The bodies of the scavengers and psychic masters who ran in front of Cheng Peng were instantly blasted into pieces like bedsheets with big holes. They fell down one after another. Cheng Peng was completely panicking this time. Everyone he brought with him was finished. The mecha was also finished. Then just as he thought of this, whoosh, 2 light beams came one after the other. They cut him in half at the waist. His upper body flew high into the air. He kept spinning and rolling in the air. He felt a little dizzy and wanted to vomit. It was very uncomfortable. He had been prone to motion sickness since he was a child and often vomited. And this time, he was afraid that it would be the last time in his life. Whoosh, another beam of light shot out. He just happened to see the light pillar shooting straight at him. And the place where the light beam came from was actually the air. There were no weapons there, and the beam of light came out of nowhere. How was this possible? Did they use some kind of technology to make their weapons invisible? But he didn't need to know. Boom, his head also turned into a watermelon. At this point, the Cheng family's dozen people were all wiped out. Speaking of which, this virtual dragon palace was simply a killing machine. It could kill anyone below the level of a desolate hunter. With such a defense, even if the other party had tens of millions of people attacking the base, as long as there were no desolate hunters, they were basically sending themselves to death. In the fields around the base, those who were farming looked at the people in the sky being killed one after another. They didn't have any emotional fluctuations. They were already used to such a scene. At this time, Emosher looked in the direction where these people fell. His eyes were full of killing intent. Chapter 281. 281 Giant Eagle Mecha. Emosher looked at the falling members of the Cheng family with killing intent in his eyes. From the memories he plundered, he already knew the details of the Cheng family in Yuzhou. 1 level, 1 desolate hunter and 17 level, 10 desolate hunters. In addition, there were more than 10 mechas on the surface, but in fact, there were a total of 20 mechas. Such strength, in the eyes of others, was very strong. But for the current Emosher, it was just so. Not to mention other things, just the Sea Dragon Avatar, a level 3 mutated desolate beast, could crush the entire Cheng family. After all, a level 3 mutated desolate beast was equivalent to a level 3 desolate hunter. The Cheng family didn't even have a level 2 desolate hunter, let alone a level 3 one. However, with Emosher's cautious personality, it was naturally impossible for him to casually decide the Cheng family's strength. What if the Cheng family had an unknown ancestor or something with the strength of a level 2 or even level 3 desolate hunter? So before going to the Cheng family, he would first upgrade the Sea Dragon Avatar to a level 5 mutated desolate beast. Thinking of this, Emosher signed in his mind, System, Special Event Sign-in. The system's voice came quickly as usual. Frowny face. Sign-in successful. Sign-in event, destroy the Cheng family's giant eagle mecha, kill the second young master of the Cheng family. Sign-in reward, giant eagle mecha, well, not bad. Emosher now understood the rules of the system's rewards. He had long expected that he would be rewarded with a giant eagle mecha. The giant eagle mecha might not be as good as other types of mechas in a one-on-one battle, but its flying and bombing abilities were definitely top-notch. Such a giant eagle mecha could carry out a full coverage carpet bombing within a radius of 15 kilometers. Its bombing ability was indeed exaggerated. Then, Emosher came to the little monk's room. At this time, the little monk was looking at the debris on the ground in front of him. He had a grief-stricken expression. Seeing Emosher come in, he shook his head and said, "Don't talk to me, I want to be alone. Jingjing was my desk mate in elementary school." Emosher saw the little monk like this. Although he was still joking, his face was full of despair. Naturally, he understood his problem. The giant eagle mecha can't be repaired. The small monk shook his head. "Boss, you're underestimating me too much. I can still barely repair this level of damage. However, after it was repaired, it would probably have less than 10% of its original combat strength. Their self-destruct system is too fucked up." Emosher's eyes flashed with surprise. He had always thought that this little monk was only talented in software. He didn't expect him to be so talented in hardware as well. After the mech self-destructed, it became a pile of scrap metal. But this guy could even repair such a pile of scrap metal. It was indeed a little exaggerated. However, a repaired one would still be an old one, and its performance would definitely be greatly reduced. As he thought of this, Emosher moved his mind and the giant eagle mecha that he had just received appeared outside the little monk's window. At the same time, the giant eagle mech's keyboard appeared in Emosher's hands. Emosher handed the keyboard to the small monk. Brand new. The small monk was stunned. Looking at the giant eagle mech outside the window, her eyes twinkled like little stars. F***CK, boss, you're too awesome. Boss V5, boss is awesome. The small monk took the keyboard and exclaimed a series of exclamations. Then he strode outside the house and circled the giant eagle mech with a wingspan of 5 meters 3 times, stroking the body of the mech as he turned. It was as if he had seen a lover he hadn't seen for a few years. After more than 5 minutes, he turned his gaze to Mo Sure. He had a feeling that his boss seemed to have some kind of ability. Every time something attacked the base, his boss would quickly have the other party's weapon appear in his hands. No matter how advanced and difficult this weapon was to obtain, his boss would still get it. This was very magical. Mo Sure said to the small monk, "Familiarize yourself with this mech as soon as possible. There will be a lot of people coming to the base recently." Hearing this, the small monk's eyes lit up. "Okay boss, don't worry, I'll be familiar with it in 2 or 3 days." Mo Sure nodded. After handing the mech to the small monk, he left the small monk's residence. Next, the most important thing was to upgrade the sea dragon avatar to a level 5 mutant wild beast. The fastest way to upgrade the sea dragon avatar quickly was to let it devour a level 3 mutant wild beast. Where were the most level 3 mutant wild beasts? Without a doubt, it was the 12th and 13th hunting grounds. Mo Sure thought for a moment and decided to go directly to the 13th hunting ground. He had read some guides on the internet before. He knew that from the 10th hunting ground onwards, only hunters could survive in it. When he went to those hunting grounds, not only were there all kinds of monsters equivalent to hunters, but even the local aborigines were below the level of hunters. For example, in the 13th hunting ground, the strongest aborigines were. Their strength had already reached the level of level 3 hunters. Therefore, when he went there to train, he would face many kinds of pressure. However, Mo Sure had many trump cards. For him, this was nothing. After returning to his residence, he called Guo Jutao over and said, "I'll be out for a few days. There will probably be people coming to the base to cause trouble. If the other party is below the level of a hunter, you don't have to do anything. If the other party is a level 1 hunter, just kill them." Guo Jutao nodded. "Yes, Mr. Mo." In the base, there were 2 level 1 hunters and more than 20 giant eagle mechas. Therefore, even if the level 1 hunters of the Qing family came, they would not be afraid of him at all. After everything was done, he bid farewell to Happy. Mo Sure used Dragon Shadow Steps and teleported to the 13th hunting island. The 13th hunting island was millions of kilometers away from the first hunting island. Usually, such a long distance would be covered by using wormhole technology. However, the cost of using wormhole technology was higher. In addition, Mo Sure's strength had not reached the top level in the continent, so he did not want to leave too much information in the hands of outsiders. Moreover, his Dragon Shadow Steps could teleport him 100 kilometers away. Over 1,000,000 kilometers, that was only about 10,000 teleportations. At most, he would teleport for close to 3 hours. Therefore, Mo Sure's figure disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he was already hundreds of kilometers away. Then, with another teleport, he was already 200 kilometers away. This kind of traveling speed was truly a little too terrifying. Of course, using teleportation continuously consumed a lot of energy in his body. However, don't forget that the amount of energy in his body far exceeded that of hunters of the same level. In addition, he could drink recovery potions like they were drinks. Therefore, this kind of consumption was nothing. After nearly 3 hours, he finally landed on the 13th hunting island. The child is half a year old and goes to bed at 1:00 every night. I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to write my story. Every day, including the lunch break, I only sleep for 6 hours. I don't have enough sleep, so from now on, I will only be able to update twice a week.